The 5:30 agenda review session will begin now, followed immediately by the City Council meeting of December 4th, 2024. We have approval of minutes of October 16, 2024. We have report of correspondence from the City Clerk. We have public hearings. We have two public hearings regarding community benefit agreements. We have the due process clarification system for the Board of Department. We have ordinance in second reading. We have one ordinance, two amendments supplemented revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick. Parking, this is in reference to parking spaces for handicapped persons. We are adding 8800 Blue Street to the patients. We have ordinance number 2 and ordinance to establish fees for stormwater adjustment policy application. We have ordinance in first reading. Ordinance 1 and ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick. We are adding a new chapter, smoking in public. We have an ordinance number 2 and ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick. This is a reference to general probation, administration, and enforcement section 110 penalties. We have ordinance number 3 and ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick. This is in reference to time limit parking meters, in reference to George Street. Resolutions 1 to 46, except 25, resolution 122-425, which was held at the request of the city administrator. We have resolution 1, approval of agenda amendment. 2, approve payroll. 3, authorize refund for redeemed tax sale certificates. 4, advise and consent to property maintenance code 4 of appeals reappointment Ronald Shannon. 5, advise and consent to Library Board of Trustees reappointments Beth Ainsley and Deborah Seeley. 6, approve amendment of resolution 112418 with Bright Engineering. 7, advise and consent to Park and Authority Board appointment under Inter White. 8, advise and consent to Board of Ethics reappointment Monica Reyes. 9, advise and consent to Cable Television Citizen Advisory Committee reappointment and appointments, several names. 10, advise and consent to Senior Citizen Advisory Council board appointments, several names. 11, advise and consent to the Community Arts Council reappointments. 12, approve resolution to refer an amendment to the zoning ordinance to the planning board for review and report. This is in reference to parking for office and military uses. 13, authorized agreement with New Brunswick tomorrow. 14, approve request for street closing requested by Shabbat House. 15, approved request for sidewalk use, street closing and use of city property requested by the Restaurant Guys LLC. 16, approved request to reserve 2 parking spaces requested by Similarly Art Museum at Rutgers University. 17, approve amendment of resolution 112405 with Norcia Corporation. 18, approve amendment of resolution 112432 regarding secondary united services. 19, approve amendment of resolution 12224 with Garrison Enterprise Inc. 20, approve agreement with Aetna US Healthcare. 21, approve amendment of resolution 062448 with Port and Main OP. 22, approve authorization to rebid for emergency housing shelter. 23, advise and consent to rent control board appointment and reappointments. 24, approve a work contract with Nexus Topologic Solutions Inc. 25 was held at the request of the city administrator. 26, advise and consent to traffic commission board appointment. 27, approve amendment of resolution 022463 with Shafter Property Services Inc. 26, approve relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by Lucero Mendez Construction LLC. 29, approve amendment of resolution 12431 for Andrea Intel White. 30, approve person-to-person transfer of liquor license from Lorena Vasquez to Tequila House Inc. 31, approve relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by Pipe Construction Company LLC. 32, authorize tax collector to transfer all the payments on several tax and utility accounts. 33, authorized tax collector to issue a duplicate tax certificate to Stephen Sticks. This is in reference to 41 Reservoir Avenue. 34, authorized professional service agreement to Garden State Veterinary Services. 35, approve a water contract with CBI Storage Tank Solutions LLC. 36, approve amendment of resolution 112-425 with B&W Construction Company of New Jersey, Inc. 37, approve amendment of resolution 032410 with Vincent Municipal System doing business as First Bite Corporation. 38, approve amendment of resolution 082409 with Schaffner Property Services, Inc. 39, approve of a contract with W.E. Timmerman Company, Inc. 40, approve a request for solicitation of funds requested by the Salvation Army in Brunswick. 41, resolution authorizing the waiver of community benefits agreement for the Hildebrand Commons project. 42, approve a water contract with Background Services in doing business as Pierce Eagle Equipment. 43, authorize tax collector to issue refund to Hiram Square and Beaver Watch. 44, resolution authorizing the cancellation of tax sale certificates. 45, approve chapter 159 insertion for the opioid trust. 46, award of rejected contract with water verification system improvement for the water utility. Then we have items for discussions by council. We have public comment. Days to remember, city council agenda review. The next one will be Wednesday, December 18th at 5:30, following immediately by the city council meeting. At this time, the meeting is called to order.
Councilmember Castañeda.
Here.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Gaskins. Here. Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Here.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Here.
Council President Escobar.
Here. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act has been complied with and satisfied, and that the annual notice which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the Municipal Council of the City of New Brunswick has been filed with the City Clerk, has been placed on an appropriate bulletin board in City Hall, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home Distributor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted tonight just to bring to your attention this past Sunday, it was World AIDS Day, and this year the theme was Take the Right Path, My Health, My Right, and it was to bring awareness for young people and how they can continue to struggle in having access to HIV treatment. So it's a time for us to reflect on that, and even though we have made good strides against this disease, there's still work to be done. Thank you.
Councilmember Castañeda.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes. Madam Clerk, has the correspondence have been directed to the appropriate departments?
Yes, Council President, the correspondence received by the City Clerk's office was forwarded to the appropriate departments for further action.
Thank you. At this time, we have two public hearings. We're going to start with the public hearing. Mr. Dominguez.
Thank you, Council President. So first up, we have a public hearing on a community benefits agreement with regard to Hildebrand Commons, formerly known as Hoffman Pavilion Project. I believe that the developer Penrose has sent someone here to be able to give a few words and answer some questions on the project. Is there anyone here from the developer? Yes, sir. Can you please stand up, give a summation of the project and...
You may come forward to the microphone, please.
Thank you. Hildebrand Commons is a 66-unit affordable housing senior development located at the 75 Nielsen Street. And we're here to seek the waiver of the community benefits agreement.
name for the record?
Matthew DeSanto with Brunswick.
Mr. Dominguez, Mr. DeSanto, can you talk a little bit about what is it? I know that you said that you're looking into getting a waiver. So if you could talk a little bit of what does that entails? What is that you're asking us to do?
Yeah, basically just approving this waiver so that we can move forward with the project, which has all of its financing in place at this time. And we expect to close on the project at the end of this year and start construction soon thereafter.
Mr. Dominguez, you could talk a little bit about the funding that they're getting and why this is important that we...
Certainly, Council President. So, and Matthew can correct me if I misstep in any of my representations here, but the project has several sources of funding. One of which, maybe the most important of which, is the Aspire funding that they're getting from the NJEDA. And one of the requirements of the Aspire funding is for a community benefits agreement. But when the Aspire funding was created as a program, it was not originally envisioned for fully affordable developments to participate in the program. This is a fully affordable program development, and seeing that the EDA created a mechanism by which, through having a hearing and then by authorizing through resolution, a municipality could grant relief and waiver of the requirements of providing community benefits agreement, which would otherwise be a blanket requirement of any project, market rate or affordable or any other kind, as part of receiving funding from the Aspire program.
Any questions from my fellow council members? So at this time, we're going to open the floor for any public member who wishes to have any questions. Mr. DeSantis, if you could sit down or just stay by, just in case first.
Good evening, Council. Charlie Cradaville. I live on Sedam Street. I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today. And yeah, I'm concerned about the council normalizing waivers of community benefit agreements. This is a relatively new thing, and I don't understand why they shouldn't have to do it or can't do it. Nothing I heard so far made it sound like there's an obstacle here to doing it. It's just they don't want to do it, and the city wants to let them not do it. Why not have a community benefit agreement?
Mr. DeSantis, would you like to answer that? Why is the benefit of this to our community? Specifically, being that this building is a senior, affordable senior housing.
Yeah, I think it's, as we said, it's the city recognizing the inherent public benefit that the project brings to the city in the form of affordable housing, certainly, but also tax revenue for a previously exempt site, as well as free support services for the tenants in a walkable, accessible area.
Thank you.
So we heard about tax revenue, but this project won't be paying property taxes on the improvements, right?
I think so.
Oh, we have
Sit.
a pilot agreement.
Paying in lieu of taxes. So how much will the city be making from that pilot? There you go.
Do you have that information, Mr. Dominguez?
I reserve the right to be wrong about this because it was a while ago, but I think it's 40 grand a year.
Thank you.
40 grand a year, that's it.
Mr. Dominguez, for the benefit of those, just remind us of, and I know that he has been said, so maybe to be clear, the Hildebrand building, there's going to be 66
units of affordable housing.
Affordable housing,
Yes.
right? All of them.
Yes.
That are going to be and these are one bedroom, I'm trying to remember.
I feel like there might be a couple of two-bedrooms.
Two-bedrooms and
There's 2 or 3 2-bedrooms, but primarily one.
one bedrooms.
And
Okay.
they're senior housing.
They're senior, I was, yes, targeting our seniors, that is a need that our community has. So it is, will be helping one of the barriers that we have, housing barriers for our seniors, is 66 units will help. So I think that we cannot forget that.
Not forget it.
In the conversations that we are having.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we should go further back and look at this site. It was public housing. It was demolished in 2010. This company stepped in, took housing authority money, a big loan, to, they said, replace what they were demolishing. And that was 2010. We're now in 2024. The housing crisis has gotten much worse. And we're only now potentially closing on the financing of the deal. And that could mean maybe 25 or 26, finally, the units that were taken away get replaced. And, that just doesn't sound like the type of project that deserves a waiver. That seems to be like the type of project where you've got to get everything in writing on the record and enforceable. And I look at the resolution, I see they do claim some social benefits and economic benefits to the community, including, quote, the creation of more than 100 construction jobs and up to 3 full-time jobs in the city. And my question is this simply, why not put that in a CBA, in a community benefit agreement, and say these things are things they agree to do and they promise to do, and you actually then have the Aspire tax credits to hold over them. But if you waive the community benefits agreement, I don't know that you can really enforce this resolution if they don't deliver on these promised economic and social benefits. Why not just put these things into a CBA, and then we can be talking about a CBA here instead of a waiver of the CBA? And what I say makes sense? Is what I'm saying makes sense?
Anything else, Mr. Carmelo?
Yeah, I'm asking if you agree with that. Why not do that?
I'm just listening at this point.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you listening, but I think that, we need stronger action. This is a developer that's made a lot of money off New Brunswick. And I'm glad that they're finally ready to replace the building at 75 Nelson Street that was demolished more than a decade ago. But I think we deserve a community benefits agreement. The community deserves it. Thank you.
Council President, if I may, for 1 second.
Yes.
I just wanted to add something. While Mr. Cradaville is correct in his assessment that they're replacing the units, 26 of the units are the replacement units, which were required. So there is an additional 40 units which were not obligated as part of the replacement of the prior development on the site that are net new units to the city and to the site.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore. I'm going to have to say I agree with what Mr. Cradaville was saying, but my one thing that I'm realizing, why out of all this construction that's been going on with these buildings, due to where, honestly, the way I see it as a scheme or something going on, where with some of them no taxes, low taxes, due to where, Edward, you're saying almost $40,000, for 66 units. Wow, $40,000 is almost what someone can pay due to where, and a homeowner, where they pay more than that. So honestly, I do see a scheme of that. This is something, it just don't sound right, due to where all of a sudden all of these construction sites, where due to where with these low taxes or no taxes, making deals with it, and the city's going along with it. Why? Because some of you are pretty friends with these, but like I said, I just see it crooked due to where, like I said, for only $40,000. And I'm saying this, for example, due to where my grandma had a house in New Brunswick on a corner house, when you pay double taxes, where a homeowner, that's why I said, wow, can pay more than this, but wow, you're talking about for 66 units? I say that's a scam that the city is pulling with a lot of these construction ones who are dealing with these new buildings where, come on, like I said, do better.
Yes.
Mr. Dominguez, just for a point of clarification for my knowledge, Generally, affordable housing units, to my understanding, don't generate a lot of profit to have substantial tax revenue to a city. Am I correct in that line of thinking, or?
I apologize, there was like a little bit that dropped off in the last sentence for part of your question.
So basically, my question is, affordable housing development, it's to my understanding that they don't generate a lot of profit in the first place for tax revenue to a municipality, which is one of your input.
Generally speaking, no, because they typically have lower rents than other facilities. In this case in particular, it is on housing authority land. It has a special criteria of group that it's serving. The land generates no revenue now because it's fully publicly owned. There are some places where this abatement would be for $0 in some towns. So we are generating some revenue here while providing significant service to 66 seniors and potentially then some in our state.
My 5 minutes, my 5 minutes, what up? Well, after you ask the question,
You passed your time, thank you.
like I said, go ahead.
Thank you.
Continue to be the devil.
I'm so excited about there being more affordable housing. I think that's wonderful and that's great. I don't support a waiver of the community benefits agreement because I think that if there's no enforcement mechanism, there's no real way to make sure that people are accountable. So of course I support affordable housing. Of course we all support affordable housing, right? Like we all know that that's important. I just think that a community benefits agreement is a way to make sure that that's enforceable and to hold people accountable, to make sure there's transparency and accountability. So, I don't really support that. And I think that given the people who've spoken, it seems like there's a significant amount of confusion and concern from the public, right, about what's going on. So I think a community benefit situation could actually clarify that to the public, right, and get everybody on the same page, right? If everything's above board, if everything makes sense, right, then it shouldn't be hard to do a community benefits agreement, right? You just make sure everything's above board so everybody can be educated about it. Thank you.
Just, Mr. Dominguez, just for the purpose of clarification, the benefit community agreement doesn't preclude the development agreement, which has a lot of these details, right? That in terms of the specs of the development, how many units, what is the responsibility of the developer with deadlines, the same way as if they fail to do so. So one thing doesn't take away from the other in terms of the development of the actual project.
I'd say that's correct, Council President.
Anybody else from the public wishes to address the council on this specific public hearing? Seeing none, we could entertain a motion to close the public.
Motion to close.
Second.
Councilmember Castañeda.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes. So at this time, we're going, Mr. Shen?
Yes, with respect to the last item, in your consent agenda, there is a resolution for council's consideration, which will be acted on should the council be so inclined at that time. The next item, if council is desirous of moving on,
Yes, sir. Yes.
I would like to ask the court reporter to start recording. Number 2 under D for the council this evening is a big protest on the clarification system improvements project for the water utility under specification number 285-24W. I'd like to give the council a little background. I'd also like to set the ground rules on how we're going to conduct this big protest here. I will advise council that representation of the objecting bidder and appearance by the apparent low bidder present here in the council chamber. Also, we have a court reporter who's recording everything that transpires relative to this particular hearing. What I will say is the order of business, as I would like to conduct it, and we've done so in the past, is that the objecting bidder lodge the objection, who is Capola. Will go first to the council. Council could address the council, city council. Any witnesses that would be presented would be sworn, and they could remain seated in the front row. When the Capola presentation is through, I would ask the representative of Tomar to come forward. Again, Tomar Construction's representative would be sworn. Of course, any questions that council would have of any of the witnesses or presenters can be conducted after they make their initial presentation. Thereafter, the city would like to present its project engineer, Mr. Tompeck, who likewise would be sworn and present his findings with respect to the bid protest. Thereafter, should the council be so inclined, we will entertain a motion to go into closed session, discuss the findings of the hearing, and then come back and report. If any questions about that procedure, if not, Madam Council President, members of council, let me just give you a brief overview. This bid protest is as a result of New Brunswick Water Utility Clarification System improvements under contract number 285-24W, which bids were received on Thursday, November 7th, 2024 at 10 a.m. The work under the contract cited herein consists of construction of 4 train high-rate clarification systems to replace the existing sedimentation basins, a new pretreatment building, a new raw water equalization basin, new chlorine contact basin, and other miscellaneous improvements at the New Brunswick water treatment plant. This is phase 2 in the project that the city has designed and envisioned for our water treatment facility, and the bidding with respect to phase 2 is encompassed in this particular phase of the project. Having said that, I know that counsel for Capola is present here, Capola Services, Inc., Mr. Gregory Tripp. I would now ask Mr. Tripp if he wanted to make a presentation and/or present any witnesses regarding the bid protest that was filed by Mr. Tripp by his letter of November 15, 2024. Mr. Tripp.
Thank you. Let me take the microphone? That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam Council President and the rest of the Council Board for taking the opportunity to hear our protest today. There is a letter that was submitted November 15, 2024. Mr. Chairman referenced that letter. That letter set forth the basis for our protest. This is an important public improvement project, as Mr. Chairman indicated. It is also a project that is being led under the local public contracts law. The local public contracts law has strict provisions and requirements that cannot be deviated. And with respect to certain items, those particularly that are identified as mandatory non-waivable items, there are no discretion. If there's a violation of those items, the apparent low bidder's bid must be rejected. One of those items is prescribed by the statute NJSA 4811-16, and specifically there are 4 classifications of subcontractors, of which must be identified at the time of bid. The subcontractors that are identified at the time of bid must actually be the subcontractors who are performing those specific items of work. The 4 items, and that is consistent with this council's own solicitation. In the solicitation, it specifically mandates and requires, pursuant to the local public contracts law, that each bidder identify the 4 subcontractors, we'll call them the critical subcontractors, that they will use to perform the work, specifically plumbing and gas and fitting and all kindred work. The second one is steam power plants, steam and hot water heating, and ventilation apparatus and all kindred of work. That's a lot of words. In abbreviation, it's HVAC work. The third one is electrical work, and the final one is structural steel and ornamental work. Case law is clear. If a bidder does not identify the entity that it intends to use and will use to perform the work, its bid is deemed non-responsive and must be rejected. And although in this case, Tomar was the apparent low bidder, its bid is non-responsive because it is defective. The reason why it's defective is in its bid, and if you'd like, Mr. Shammy, I can mark documents as exhibits, or do you want me just to reference it and assume that it will be marked for purposes of these proceedings?
Your submissions have been submitted, council, to the council, to the city council. So if you want to just reference your letter of such and such a date or whatnot, if you have something new that you'd like to mark, I'd ask that you give it to the city clerk first and she'll mark it. The court reporter will note its marking and it will become part of the record.
Thank you. And for purposes of the record, we will have our letter, which was the protest letter, marked as Exhibit A. And we do have a copy of that as well, but it doesn't sound like that we need that. The Exhibit B would be the bid that Tomar submitted in response to the solicitation, which I'm confident that the council members have as well. But for purposes of clarity for the record, we'll treat that as Exhibit B. Exhibit B, Tomar identified as both its plumbing subcontractor and its HVAC subcontractor, a company by the name of Cooper Plumbing and Mechanical LLC out of Hamilton, New Jersey. Based on our investigation, it is clear that Cooper Plumbing and Mechanical LLC does not and will not be performing the HVAC work on this project. Because they will not and do not perform this work, Tomar did not identify in its bid the HVAC subcontractor as is required by the solicitation, as is mandated by the local public contracts law, therefore rendering its bid non-responsive and must be rejected. The next low bidder is the bid submitted by Capola, and we respectfully ask that the contract be awarded to Capola as the entity submitting the lowest responsive bid. And in order to substantiate some of the factual statements I made, we will be calling Mr. Capola to testify today. And Mr. Shimmy, do you want him to remain seated there and sworn in?
I think he can remain seated there, but I think he should be sworn in and he can stand for that, and that would be fine.
Will the court reporter be sworn in?
Yes, the court reporter, did you swear him in? State your full name, sir.
Michael Ralph Capola.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Capola. For purposes of the record, can you please repeat your name and your position with Capola?
Michael Capola, CEO of Capola Services.
And are you familiar with the project at issue and that we're here for today?
Yes.
Can you generally describe the project?
The project is a large, complex rehabilitation of the Brunswick water treatment plant. As recently stated, 2 large trains are going to be replaced in succession. They will have to be taken down one at a time because the plant is an integral part of the city's water supply and must be kept running at all times. There will be a new pretreatment building. There will be considerable upgrades to all the chemical feed systems, flocculating systems, mixing systems, power generation, power conducting, and control upgrades, as well as HVAC, plumbing, and electrical.
And were you involved in putting together the bid submitted by Capola?
Yes.
So do you have a general knowledge of the types of work that is required for this project?
Yes,
And can you just generally describe whether this project does involve HVAC work?
it does.
And can you generally describe the type of HVAC work that is required on this project?
There is a considerable amount of HVAC work, both in work areas as well as common areas where staff will be working as well as performing their day-to-day work activities. There is considerable amount of duct work, diffusers, registers, air handling units, AC, refrigeration piping, refrigeration charging, air balancing, He, I think that just about covers it.
Thank you. And are you familiar with a company by the name of Cooper Plumbing and Mechanical LLC?
Yes, we have used Cooper in a plumbing capacity for over 10 years.
And do you have a relationship with representatives of Cooper?
Yes, Bill Cooper.
And are you familiar with the types of work Cooper performs and the type of work Cooper does not perform?
Cooper regularly performs plumbing work for many contractors in the water and wastewater industry. They do not perform HVAC work, especially HVAC work of this complexity.
And in the categories of HVAC work that you identified that is required in this project, you mentioned ductwork, dampers, louvers, heat coils, air handlers, ACs. In your experience, does Cooper perform that type of work at the scale that's required for this project?
No, they do not.
I'm sorry?
No, they do not.
And have you spoken to the representative of Cooper since bid opening through today?
I spoke to Bill Cooper several times as well as this morning.
And during those conversations, does Mr. Cooper indicate to you whether Cooper intends to perform work on this project on behalf of Tomar?
Mr. Cooper said that he will not be performing this HVAC scope for Tomar or any contractor.
And did Mr. Cooper indicate whether he submitted a proposal to Tomar to perform HVAC work for this project?
He did not, nor did he provide one to any of the bidding contractors for this project.
And by contrast, did he convey to you whether he submitted a proposal to Tomar for the plumbing work for this project?
I believe he did. He also supplied one to Capola and the other bidding contractors.
So as far as you know, Cooper submitted a proposal to both Capola and Tomar for the plumbing work, but not for the HVAC work, correct?
Correct.
And the work that is required here, the HVAC work, is not within the type of work that Cooper typically, or as far as you know, actually performs.
Correct.
And Mr. Cooper specifically told you that he will not be performing this work, the HVAC work, for Tomar in connection with this project, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Now, Mr. Chairman, I also have some questions both for your engineer and for Tomar for purposes of expediency and consistency, and I'm sure the council prefers not to extend this more than necessary. I think it might make sense to have them testify first, and I will then refer to them to cross-examination.
Your opportunity is reserved to question them, Mr. Tripp. I don't have any problem with that. I'm sure the council doesn't either. So if you're done with your presentation, I would ask that a representative of Tomar come up and speak. And obviously, if that representative has a question for your witness, you can do so at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. Is there a representative of Tomar who would like to come up? Tomar Construction LLC. And are you an attorney, sir?
No.
Okay, so you're a representative. Are you going to testify on behalf of Tomar?
I will give the presentation, but I do also have other members of Tomar here.
Okay.
The president, as well as my estimator.
All right. Well, if you testify, I'd like to have you sworn as well, sir. Is that
Sure.
fine? Reporter.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth and help you God?
Absolutely.
Can you please state your full name, please?
My name is Gladson Samuel, Gladson, last name Samuel. I'm the administrator for Tomar. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to come here today and respond to the allegations that are being made by the second low bidder in this contract. We do believe, I actually do agree with what Mr. Triff said on a number of points. I agree that this is a very important project for the city. I do agree that the local public contracts law upholds the method by which municipalities should award and uphold the state statutes in awarding a project of this nature. I also agree that NJS, specifically the statute that he referenced, NJSA 4811-16, which requires that bidders in their bid provide the names of the four major trades be listed in their bid. I do agree with that. What I do not agree with is that the allegation that Tomar's bid is not responsive in that regard. Tomar listed licensed electrician, licensed plumber, and a licensed master HVACR contractor as required by the law. Beyond that, I know they testified that they've known Cooper for about 10 years. We've known him for about 20. He's done multiple projects for us where he has done HVACR work, including, as of this moment, he's doing HVACR work at one of our projects at the Middlesex County Utilities Authority. So to state in their presentation that he does not and will not do HVACR work is just patently false. I'm not privy to the conversations they had with Cooper directly, but that's all post-bid anyway, so that should not come into consideration here. What should come into consideration is what happened at the time of bid. And at the time of bid, Cooper, along with his proposal for plumbing, did a day before the bid provide us with his HVACR license, indicating that he was a master HVACR contractor as defined by the state. Now, I can read what that means. I don't want to take up too much time because a lot has been said already. But the truth of the matter is, if you have to be an HVACR contractor in this state and to perform work, you need to have been licensed by examination and through the authority vested in them by the Division of Consumer Affairs. So, and Cooper provided us with that license. And we listed him in our bid as we have on multiple bids and multiple occasions where he's done work, including, like I said, right now at the Middlesex County Utilities Authority. I don't have any questions for Coppola per se, but if you have any questions for us, feel free to ask. We did submit our, I hope that's in the record, we did submit our letter of response to the protest, and I think that answers all the questions. I hope everyone gets a chance to hear that and see that.
Yes. For the record, Mr. Glass, yes, your December 3rd, 2024 letter addressed to me is incorporated into the record. Before you sit down, sir, I know Mr. Tripp probably wants to ask you some questions. I'm going to give him an opportunity. Depending on what he has to say, we'll see if the council has any questions.
Thank you again, Mr. Shirley. If you want to keep the mic, I'll stay here. And if the council member can't hear me, most people say I speak too loud, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. But in case you can't, please let me know, and I'll be happy to speak up.
And if it's something I can't answer, I have representatives here.
We'll call another witness down. I'm sure we have, that's fine.
And I'm going to limit my questions to the testimony that you just gave on your oath. So you should be able to answer them. So you don't just let us know that you don't know the answer to that question.
That's fine.
Are you familiar with the statute that prohibits a bidder from substituting an identified bid?
Yes.
You are familiar with that statute. So you're aware that Tomar cannot replace Cooper as the HVAC subcontractor on this project?
I'm aware that I can't list anyone else other than Cooper.
That's not my question, sir. Are you aware that Tomar cannot use any HVAC subcontractor on this project other than Cooper?
Yes, at the time of bid, that was our intention.
Sir, that's not my question. Today, is it your testimony that you intend or you may substitute Cooper as the HVAC subcontractor?
My intention is to use Cooper, and that was my intention when I submitted the bid.
Now, you testified that you received a license for HVAC work from Cooper, correct?
Yes.
Did you receive a bid from Cooper setting forth a dollar amount to perform the HVAC work?
Not at the time of bid.
So that's no?
No.
And as of today, have you received a firm price from Cooper to perform the HVAC work, all of the HVAC work on this project?
I haven't been awarded a contract, so...
So that's a no too?
I wouldn't be looking to Cooper for anything at this point.
That's not my question, sir. As of this moment in time, has Tomar received a firm price from Cooper to perform all the HVAC work?
No.
Has Cooper indicated to you that they would perform all the HVAC work on this project?
Yes.
They did?
They gave us their HVAC license, and they asked us to submit it with the bid.
Sir, I'm going to remind you that you're under oath, under penalty of perjury. It is your testimony that Cooper communicated to you that they intend to perform all of the HVAC work on this project.
Well, I have to relinquish it to my estimator because he speaks directly.
So the question, the answer to my question is, I don't know.
I don't know.
Thank you, sir. And again, you're not sure whether or not you are permitted under the law to substitute Cooper at a later point in time for performing the HVAC work.
I know I'm not, I can't substitute him.
You can't. So you have to use Cooper for this project.
If he's willing to do it.
You have to use Cooper, period, for this project.
I have to, if he's willing to do it, but you're saying he's not willing to do it, right?
And you have no idea if he's willing to do it, correct?
He indicated to us that he would be doing it, that's what I understand.
Sir, you just testified that you're not sure if he did it or not.
I didn't say that.
When I ask, okay, so let me ask you again. Are you aware, and did Cooper ever communicate to you that they intend to perform all the HVAC work on this project? Yes or no?
What I said is he hasn't given us a number yet.
Okay. Has he conveyed to you that they will perform all the HVAC work on this project? To you personally, did they convey that to you?
No, not to me personally.
So you don't know whether they're going to do it or not, correct?
I mean, I know he's going to do it if I ask him to do it. He's doing work right now.
How do you know he's going to do all the HVAC work?
He's doing work right now for us, doing HVAC work.
But you don't know that he's doing all the HVAC work on this project, correct?
He may well, because we just did it.
And you saw a copy of our protest letter, correct?
Yes,
Did you call Mr. Cooper at all since receiving the letter?
I didn't call him.
Did you ask him, hey, can you give me an affidavit saying that you're going to do the HVAC work on this project?
No,
Did you ask him to come here today to testify that he's going to perform the work on the HVAC project?
no.
Thank you. I don't have further questions.
Mr. Stanley, would you like to call another one of the company's representatives, or are you done?
If Mr. Montico has anything to add, he's free to as the president.
Why don't you come forward then? This is your opportunity. I would ask, sir, that you be sworn in by the court reporter.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Thank you. Can you please state your full name?
Thomas Montecchio.
Okay, and have the
Thomas
last name.
Montecchio. I have a phone, so I can
What was the last name again?
Thomas, Thomas,
Last name?
Mottackel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President, Brunswick. I'm President of Walmart Construction, and I have been doing this.
And you have to speak up,
Yeah,
sir.
we're slow.
She has to be able to hear you across the room.
I have been in this business for about 28 years. And the only work that we do is water and wastewater treatment plants.
Is what?
Water and wastewater treatment plants. That's what we do. And this is about 110 projects that we are working on. The Thomas started as an HVAC contractor.
Sorry.
Thomas started as an HVAC contractor and graduated, grown from there to what we are today. Cooper Plumbing, I know them for 20 years. About this project, I never had a direct communication with him. However, I do know that he is a licensed, permitted, insured HVAC contractor, HVAC contractor. And we have used him on multiple projects in the past, since he became an HVAC contractor about 10 years ago. Anyway, I may not be correct about that, but not in the recent. As of today, at Brunswick County Utilities Authority project, he is the HVAC contractor of record and is performing. Now the question, is he performing all work on this project? HVAC work consists of refrigerant piping, refrigerant handling, ductwork, hydraulic piping, HVAC controls, ADC controls, a lot of things. HVAC contractors who are licensed, they may not do everything in this. Some contractors do more piping, but not ductwork. Some contractors do ductwork, not piping. But the bottom line is that can they handle the refrigerant piping? That is the public safety issue. Because the refrigerant dryer, when it is not handled by a licensed technician, that endangers the nature because it spills refrigerant into the air, depleting the ozone layer. So this was the intention of New Jersey State introducing a license for HVAC contractors. And as far as I know, Cooper appeared the test, they passed it, they got the license and they are a licensed contractor. For what are the trades they do, they have to perform as the contractor, they have second years of contractor. So that is something legal in the country. So we are expecting any work may be controlled. I don't think he does control either. Any control or water piping or whatever he does not do, that will be performed by other second tier subcontractors.
He would like to perform last one.
By second tier subcontractors.
Second tier.
That's all I have.
Council, if you have any questions for Mr. Luttrell. I do, thank you again. Good afternoon, sir. Can you estimate what the approximate cost is to perform the HVAC work on this project?
I do not estimate this.
Would you say it's over $1 million?
Say that again.
Would you say it's over $1 million?
What did you ask?
The cost to perform the HVAC work on this project, would you estimate it to be in excess of $1 million?
I don't know.
You can't even estimate if it's over $1 million?
I do not know. I did not estimate the project.
I'm sorry?
I gave you an answer. I don't know because I did not estimate the project.
Okay. Do you know, you mentioned that Cooper is currently performing HVAC work for you on another project, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what the value of that HVAC work is?
I have to look at my project.
Do you know if it's anywhere near the magnitude of the HVAC work on this project?
I told you I do not have that information at this time with me.
And do you know whether Cooper submitted a proposal to Tomar to perform all the HVAC work on this project?
Yes, I inquired into it.
I'm sorry?
I inquired into it on the day of the bid. I was not in the country. I was traveling. So I inquired into it. Cooper, we had been dealing with him for 20 years. So normally there is a way that he offers prices and all that. We got a plumbing price which is in one part and we listed it. And the second part is the HVAC part.
I'm sorry, the second part is what?
HVAC part.
So sir, and forgive me because I may have misunderstood you. Did Tomar receive a proposal from Cooper to perform the HVAC work on this project?
Not until this time.
Not until what?
Not until this time.
So as of this moment in time, Tomar does not and has not received a proposal from Cooper to perform the HVAC work. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And has anyone at Cooper affirmatively tell you that they will perform all the HVAC work on this project?
It is our intention to award the contract.
Sir, that's not my question. Did anyone at Cooper tell you that they would perform all of the HVAC work on this project?
Not to me.
And you mentioned you've been friends with Mr. Cooper for about 20 years?
I did not say that.
Oh, you worked with him for 20 years?
He worked with me for 20 years.
For 20 years?
Yes.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Did you not call him and say, hey, Mr. Cooper, can you show up today? Because these guys at Capola are telling me and telling this council that you're not performing the HVAC work, but I know you are. Do you mind showing up? Someone who I've known for 20 years, do you mind showing up and testifying? Did you call him?
I did not think it was necessary.
You did, right? Good. Are you familiar with another project that Tomar is performing called the Wallington Pumping Station Project?
Yes.
Tomar's performing that work?
Yes.
Who's performing the HVAC work on that project? And remind you, sir, you're under oath. Who's performing all the HVAC work on that project?
I do not know.
You don't know. Who at Tomar would know the answer to that question?
maybe my estimating person can say.
Okay, I'll ask him when he testifies. Thank you.
Any questions, guys? All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from Tomar who would like to be sworn and testify relative? Okay, sir, come on up.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, absolutely.
I can't hear you.
Yes, absolutely, I will.
Okay, thank you. Move closer to the...
Yes, my name is Soban, S-O-B-H-A-N, last name Nalamothu, N-A-L-L-A-M-O-T-H-U. So I am the estimator of this particular project. So we listed Cooper as our HVAC contractor.
Okay, you're gonna have to slow down because I can't hear you very well. Just slow down a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So any questions or anything from my side? So I'm ready to answer your questions.
Okay, so you don't have anything to add, sir? You're just going to answer Mr. Triff's question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Mr. Triff, you want to answer the gentleman your question? And
Sure. Thank you. How long have you been with Tomar?
17 years.
And during that 17-year period, have you used Cooper Electric to perform HVAC work?
Yes, we used Cooper jobs, yes.
About, on the job that you're currently working on with Cooper as the HVAC, are you familiar with that project?
Yes.
What's the name of that project?
That's in the Middlesex County Municipality, MCUA,
What's the approximate subcontract price for the HVAC work only?
approximately 100K.
100 what?
$100,000.
$100,000.
$100,000.
Now, would you agree that the cost to perform the HVAC work on this project is in excess of about $2 million?
Yes.
Maybe in excess of
$2 million.
Maybe in excess of $3 million?
Not 3 in my estimate, I have 2 million because I gave
Wait, I can't, I'm sorry. Can you
He
say
is
that?
asking what is the approximate net value of the HVAC work in this particular job. I'm saying it's around $2 million. I informed already to the engineer that you know the breakdown, like approximate value. Yeah.
So the approximate value for the HVAC work on this project is $2 million, that's correct? And the HVAC work that Cooper's performing on your other project is about $100,000.
Yeah, one job is doing 100,000.
And you'd agree that the difference between $100,000 HVAC work and $2 million HVAC work is significant, right?
Yeah, dollar-wise, there is a difference.
Now, are you familiar with the project that I mentioned before, the Wellington Pump Station project?
Yes.
Now, again, so you're under oath.
Yes.
What subcontractor is performing the HVAC work on that project?
If I'm not wrong, I have to talk to the project manager there. We did not award the HVAC work so far to anyone, if I'm not wrong. So
You haven't awarded yet.
Not yet.
Do you know who you're going to give it to?
No, we are, I don't know.
You don't know that.
I don't have any idea. I need to talk to the project manager.
What would you say the estimated cost of the HVAC work on that job is?
On that job, it should be approximately $1 million.
Million? Is Cooper going to do the HVAC work on that job?
I don't know.
You don't know. Would you be surprised to hear that in your bid, you identified Cooper as the HVAC subcontractor?
Yes.
But now you're testifying that you have no idea if you're going to give it to them.
Because we did not, the project manager will talk to Cooper Planning and they will have discussion. I'm not the only person. We work in a different way. Each project will have a different project manager and we will talk to the subcontractors and we will go to our boss and then we will discuss and so we will do the subcontractor.
And you're going to put it out on the street and find who's the lowest price and give it to that subcontractor, right?
We listed Cooper, so we will first go to Cooper and ask Cooper. We are not going to, to the other party. How can we do that route?
Well, this project has been going on for how long now?
Maybe more than a year, I think.
More than a year. And you haven't awarded the HVAC work to anybody yet?
I believe so, but I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Do you know if there's any HVAC work performed on that job as of this point in time?
I think demolition is going on. That particular project has a different approach. I need to say like we have to take out everything, put the whole station on the bypass pumping, then only the new work we start. So we have time management.
And as you testified, you're not sure whether Cooper's going to do the HVAC work, right?
We will go to Cooper and ask, that is for sure.
But you understand you can't substitute Cooper, right?
I cannot stop. First I have to go to him. He may have some subcontractors. He may bring some kind of subcontractors to me and we can do the work.
So you understand, you can't go to him after the bid. You have to use them under the law. Do you understand that?
Yes, because I wrote their name. First I will go to him, I will request him to do the work.
But on that job, you didn't get a quote or commitment from him either, right?
I believe so, not yet.
Not yet, right? And on this job, you never got a quote from them to perform the HVAC work,
I
right?
did not get any quote from Cooper on HVAC.
And nobody at Cooper indicated to you that Cooper would actually perform the HVAC work on this project, isn't that right?
He did not inform me. He sent me the HVAC license. I use his license in the school.
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't have any further questions. I didn't want to close up, but if you want to call.
No, I'm going to call our project engineer. I assume the Tomar representatives are done? Okay. Madam Council President, members of council, at this time, I would like to call the city's project engineer from Mott McDonald, Mr. Mark Compaq. Mark, you want to get sworn, please, sir?
You solemnly swear that the testimony that you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your full name.
Mark, last name is Tompeck, T-O-M-P-E-C-K, the Senior Vice President with Mott McDonald, located at 111 Wood Avenue South, Island, New Jersey.
If I can. Mr. Tompak, can you tell us, sir, if you're currently employed
I am?
by Mott McDonald?
Yes.
Okay. And is your company, Mott McDonald, as well as yourself, involved as a consulting engineer, project engineer on a City of New Brunswick water treatment plant upgrade project?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just tell us briefly the history that you've been involved with the project? I know there's multiple phases.
So there are two phases to the project. The first phase is currently ongoing, which is an expansion of the membrane treatment facility. The second phase, which is the subject of our discussion this evening, is the clarification system improvements. I served as the engineer of record for both of those projects.
And in connection with your duties and responsibilities as engineer of record, were you also involved in the preparation of the bid specifications?
Yes.
And is part of your job duties and responsibilities also to review the bid submissions in connection with the cities going out to bid on these projects?
Yes.
Okay. And with respect to this particular phase, and I referenced contract number 285-24W, were you involved in that aspect of the phase?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to this particular phase of the project and the bids that were submitted, did you cause a review of the bid submissions to be conducted in connection with these submissions?
Yes. I personally reviewed all three bid submissions following the receipt of bids.
And with respect to the bids, were there three bidders in connection with this offering?
Yes.
And that was Tomar Construction LLC, Capola Services Inc., and Northeast Remsco Construction?
Yes.
Okay. Tomar Construction LLC being the apparent low?
Correct.
Okay. With respect to your review of the particular bid submissions, on its face at the time of initial review, was everything in order with respect to all three bidders?
Yes. Typically, we review the bids for what we term mathematical accuracy and completeness of submission. There are two checklists in the bid documents that bidders are required to complete. Those checklists identify the various items that are required for submission. The first checklist is a listing of all mandatory requirements that must be submitted with the bid documents, including the naming of subcontractors. That is a mandatory bid submission. And the second part of the bid submission checklist is a listing of items that must be submitted prior to contract award. They are not mandatory. So they do not have to be submitted with the bid, but they have to be submitted in advance of contract award by the city council.
Okay. With respect of the listing of subcontractors to be utilized by the bidder, is that a necessary legal requirement in connection with this bid?
Yes, that's a statutory requirement.
And with respect to that listing of bidders, the particular specialties that are involved are enumerated in the specifications as to what the proposals or scope of work is to be based upon?
Yes.
Did there come a point in time when you were made aware of a bid protest that was received by the city of New Brunswick by the second apparent low bidder, Capola Services, Inc.?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us about your review of that objection at the time?
So that objection essentially related to the naming of subcontractors, and in this case, it involved the two subcontractors that have been discussed thus far this evening, that being plumbing and HVAC work. So in the case, let me back up a second because I think it's important. When we reviewed the documents of all three bidders, we found that all three bidders submitted all of the required mandatory documents. Okay? So now I'll jump ahead to the issue at hand here. We were advised through the bid protest letter of the issue of the Cooper Plumbing and Mechanical being named for both the plumbing and HVAC for the Tomar bid, and obviously recognized that that was the case. There was bid documentation that noted that Cooper was licensed, to be able to do the work, and therefore, prior to receiving the protest letter, we would have no reason to do any further investigation. However, once we received the bid protest letter, we did do some additional investigation.
Okay, with respect to that particular investigation, is that part also of your duties and responsibilities as project engineer on this particular bid?
Yes.
And can you tell us what you did first? Did you correspond with the apparent low bidder and the second apparent bidder?
Yes. So what we did was we set forth letters to both Tomar and Capola, asking them for documentation regarding the scopes of work that were going to be provided by the subcontractors that were named in their bid. In the case of Tomar, the focus was the plumbing and HVAC, because they had named themselves, or actually a sister company, to do the electrical work. And if I recall correctly, they were self-performing the structural steel and ornamental iron work. So we requested information on the scopes of work that were going to be provided by Cooper Plumbing and Mechanicals for both the plumbing and the mechanical work. And the response from Tomar was essentially a regurgitation of those items statutorily that are included in those two categories. So there was no detailed scope that came back detailing what Cooper was going to do under those two categories.
I see. Now, there came a point in time when both the apparent low bidder and the second low bidder, as well as the third bidder, were advised as to a public hearing regarding the bid protests filed by Capola, correct?
That's correct.
And in response to that particular letter, did you have an opportunity to review a December 3rd, 2024 letter from Tomar Construction addressed to myself, T.K. Shandy, City Attorney, from the President, Thomas Natako, who I believe just testified here this evening?
Yes.
And in connection with that response, your review of that particular response, did it reveal the scope of work for that particular HVAC component of the project as you had requested in the prior communication?
No, it did not.
Now, after receiving that letter, did you inquire further with the representative of Tomar requesting the specific scope of work or bid that may have been submitted by Cooper in connection with the HVAC work?
I did. The Tomar December 3rd letter included an exhibit which included the license of Cooper Plumbing and Mechanical, the master HVACR license, and also there was a reference there to a proposal that was provided by Cooper to Tomar the day before the bid. So I noticed that, and I subsequently requested just this morning via email a copy of that proposal from Cooper to Tomar so that I could better understand the scope of the work that Cooper was proposing to provide on the project.
And what did you receive in response, sir?
I received a copy of the proposal by Cooper that enumerated the various items that they were going to be performing on the project. Those items all related to plumbing. In my review, there was no item that related to HVAC as far as the scope of work that Cooper was going to provide.
So at that point in time, you still hadn't received anything from Tomar relative to the HVAC proposal or scope of work that would really be performed by Cooper?
Correct.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, sir, did you find it necessary to reach out to Cooper?
I did.
Okay, tell us about that.
On November 19th, in the afternoon, I reached out to Mr. William Cooper to ask him about the scope of work that they were providing or intending to provide on the project. I should say proposing to provide on the project. I was advised by Mr. Cooper that they had only submitted a proposal to do plumbing work on the project and had not submitted any proposal to do HVAC work on the project.
And you spoke to Mr. William Cooper himself?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Mr. Tombeck. I don't know if council wants to cover anything I may not have. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Tombeck? Okay. Any questions by Tomar for Mr. Tombeck?
In this project, Tomar's bid is about $38 million.
Hold on, so I'm sorry. If you can slow down a bit so I can hear you better. No, I swear you were already, just, I can't do that well.
On this project, Tomar's bid is about $38 million, and Cooper's bid is about $58 million. There is a difference of $90 million from the taxpayer. That's the difference.
What was that? At the end, you said what?
There's a difference to it, that's a difference to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Tombeck?
No questions, thank you so much.
If the council, any questions? Go ahead.
Just a clarification of the statute. So the statute says, it might be, I don't know how to do. The statute says that if one of these subcontractors submit with a bid, you have to award to that subcontractor, correct? It was mentioned earlier about like maybe they wouldn't do it or not. So like if Cooper in fact had submitted for HVAC work and all of a sudden said, oh, we're not performing this work, are there consequences or recourses on that end? Like that a company could
So under
sue the subcontractor?
So under the case law that we cited in it is actually prohibited to substitute an identified bidder. And I'm unfamiliar with any circumstance where that occurred, because the law is so hard and fast that you cannot substitute. It has to happen. That's under the law. And I'll just note something else that was stated. The cost of the bid becomes irrelevant if, as is the case here, Tomar's bid is rejected or non-responsive. Its price doesn't count because its bid, for purposes of the law, does not exist. And so the next lowest bidder becomes the lowest bidder who submitted a responsive bid. And the cost savings, there's a case out of the appellate division where the savings was in the billions of dollars with a B. And the court said, doesn't matter, because the integrity of the system is the most important aspect of public bidding. Under case law, Supreme Court precedent, the Supreme Court went so far as to say that the door governing public bidding must, quote, be kept tightly closed. There's no discretion. If a bid is non-responsive, as is the case here, it is rejected, and the contract is awarded to the next lowest bidder. In this case, based on the testimony that we've heard from everybody, including Representative of Tomar, it is clear the statute was violated. It is clear that Cupola was the lowest bid, and we ask the council to kindly award the contract to Cupola as then to be submitted the lowest responsibility.
Okay, there's no more receipts.
Yes, I think we need a motion to close the hearing, and then a motion to go into closed session if the council is inclined to discuss it.
Motion to close. Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins?
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes.
Motion for executive session?
And for purposes of the record, before we take the vote, we are going to discuss the outcome of the facts that were submitted, the circumstances submitted in connection with the hearing, the discussion with the city council, between city council and the legal counsel as to the law as it applies to what was presented.
Motion stands.
Need a second?
Second. Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins?
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open meeting.
Motion to close executive and
I don't know, open
and
it.
Second.
Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming has been excused and left. Councilmember Gaskins?
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. Mr. Shannon?
Yes, Madam Council President, members of council, for purposes of the record, council discussed the testimony of the witnesses, the legal arguments made by council on behalf of Cupola, as well as consulting with legal counsel relative to the local public contracts law, the bidding requirements, the statutes that apply in a case such as this, and the requirements thereunder. Having explored that, reviewed that with council, it's my understanding the council has reached the decision relative to the bid protest and to the award of contract in connection with specification number 285-24. For purposes of a final official action, same could be done on consent agenda, but it's my understanding that the council wants to exercise a straw vote of those in favor of rejecting the Tomar Construction LLC bid as being non-responsive and therefore defective, and awarding this particular contract to Cupola Services Inc. Is there a straw vote that we can take by a show of hands in favor of that? Okay, seeing all. Okay, so if it's the council's pleasure, a proposed form of resolution memorializing that will be on consent agenda. Any public comment will be entertained at that time during the consent agenda. And for anyone who's interested, Copies of the proposed resolution are outside on the bench outside the door. Thank you. Thank you. Now, that concludes our public hearings for this evening. I will allow the council now to go through their agenda items on second reading, first reading, and then the second agenda. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
We have ordinances for discussion and second reading. We have an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised ordinances of the city of Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic. Schedule 4, this is in reference to parking spaces for handicapped persons. We are adding 88 Huntington Street on 2 locations. Do any of my fellow council members have any questions or comment on this ordinance only? We are preparing to open the public hearing on this ordinance only. We have up to 5 minutes. One person, one time up. Any member of the public wishes to address the council on this ordinance, please come forward. Seeing none, will be ordinance.
Second. Councilmember Castaneda.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes. Then we have ordinance 112402, an ordinance to establish fees for stormwater adjustment policy application. I don't see Mr. Moran. Is he here?
Mr. Moran is not, but I can.
Okay.
That's not a matter.
So if you could just give remind us, Mr. Lewis, on this specific application, so there's clarity as to what is it that we are asking here.
Sure. This will set a fee for the application to receive an adjustment to the stormwater bill. Of course, Mr. Valenti is part of the team on this matter, but we have to have a fee in the ordinance in order to charge for the application.
Thank you. Do any of my fellow council members have any questions or any comments on this particular ordinance?
The fee that's been going out for water bills already, where does that come from?
So this is a fee if you were to put an application in to have your stormwater, to apply for a credit for improvements you may have made that would reduce stormwater burdens in your property.
So it's different from
That's right.
two different things. That's why I want clarification. Any other questions from the council members? So at this time, we are preparing the floor to open for public hearing on this ordinance. We have up to 5 minutes. One person, one time up. Any member of the board wishes to address the council on this ordinance only, please approach the council.
Hi, yes, actually I didn't, I know Mr. Anderson, Councilmember Anderson was saying something about it, but I didn't hear quite it now. Okay, would this show the residency a higher fee or on their water bill?
No, this is something, this is just an application for whoever does any improvement that will maximize, right, the stormwater runoff in their property.
If you may, I'll be a little more descriptive. So, as you recall, the city recently instituted a stormwater utility, and the utility assesses how pervious or impervious your property is. If in fact you add or improve upon your property so that the property can allow more stormwater to be held, you can apply to have what you pay reduced. In order to put an application in, there's a fee for the application. We can't charge that fee for the application unless the ordinance permits us to do that.
An example would be if you want to plant more trees, right? In some areas.
You have a driveway that you're going to break up
and do some more. So if you want to do that, you would apply, pay the application fee.
That's right.
And your rate from the stormwater might be reduced.
Then you would be evaluated.
Evaluated to see if that.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
Okay, thank you, well explained, thank you.
Anybody else from the public wishes to address the council on this particular ordinance? Hearing none.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Castaneda.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes. Then we have ordinances first reading. We have ordinance 122/401, ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 8, Health and Safety. We are adding chapter 8.33, smoking imposed.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, December 18th, 5:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin?
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. Then we have ordinance 122/402, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic. This is in reference to penalties.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, December 18th, 5:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin? Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. And then we have ordinance 123/403, is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 29, time limit parking, parking meters. This is in reference to George.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, December 18th, 5:30 p.m., same date to be advertised.
Councilmember Castaneda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin?
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig?
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson?
Yes.
Council President Escobar?
Yes. Then we're going into resolutions. We have resolutions 1.
What about the public comment on the
Ma'am,
health and safety is supposed to be public? We didn't get a chance to speak, we were here to speak.
It's on first reading, ma'am, so you won't have a chance next meeting.
Okay,
First
understood,
reading,
thank
we have
you.
to-
Apologies, my
No
bad,
problem.
sorry.
Then we are going into resolutions. We have resolution 126, it's June 25, which was held at the request of the city administrator. If any of my fellow council members have any questions or any comments on any of the resolutions? I have a few questions, very brief. Mr. Dominguez, number 12 and 13, please.
Certainly, thank you, Council President. So for number 12, a couple of years ago, after we did our master plan update in 2022, we did a zoning ordinance overhaul, pretty big ordinance change, and due to I guess like an issue with the table in Word, we merged the office and the daycare parking requirements, and we made the office number very onerous while deleting daycare altogether. So right now daycares don't have any kind of parking requirement whatsoever. This refers that to the planning board, and we'll get it back sometime next year to basically just correct that, clean that up for office, and add the old parking standard for daycares back for that. For number 13, this is year 4 of the neighborhood preservation program. The money came in, I think, in September or October while I was away. And this is for this calendar year's funding for the Esperanzas project in conjunction with us for the French Street corridor for the MPP program.
Thank you. Captain Hoover, can you tell me about what is that we're looking into number 24, the contract that we are asking for the accident reports?
Sure, Council President. This is a renewal of our long-standing contract that provides availability for people to purchase accident reports online.
Thank you. And Mr. Wallace, number 35, I know that we're looking into doing a big project with a water tank. So if you could just briefly tell us what we are expecting some of that future projects.
Yes, this will be the cost to demolish the existing 750,000 gallon tank on Van Dyke Avenue, replace it with a 1.5 million gallon ellipsoid on a pedestal that'll look similar to the water tank at Home Depot on Riders Lane in Milltown. Same kind of shape. I don't know that that's 1.5 million gallons. The current tank was built in 1949. It has structural issues. It needs to be repainted. There would be several many millions of dollars spent just repainting it, so we feel that it's well worth demolition and building new.
Thank you. Yes, please.
You demolished that, but what happens if you need that water, or where does that water go? Or
We will lose storage capacity while the new tank is being built. It's something that we will have to be a little more careful of, at the water treatment plant, be able to maybe boost pressure if there's fires. We were in a similar situation when we repainted Home News Tank, because that tank was drained and repairs were made to it, and it was out of service for a solid 6-8 months.
there was no danger to the public, right?
There's no danger to the public.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to prepare the floor for any member of the public who wishes to address the council on the resolutions only. You have one person up, 5 minutes.
Yes, Daniel Moore. Okay, I'm going to start off with number 22, approved authorization to rebid for emergency housing shelter. Can you give a little information on this, please?
Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. So, when the city through the Housing Inspections Department closes down a property for uninhabitability, we need to have some place to put those folks up for relocation temporarily while the place gets rehabilitated. We haven't actually had to do one in, I think, since before COVID. But we have to do this every 2 years to make sure that we have a place to put folks. The only place that ever bids is the Red Carpet Inn. Typically, they don't bid. It usually takes 2 bids, and then we have to go and negotiate an agreement after 2 bids is the typical standard for this, and how this has worked in the past. And so that's just what this is. It's just for having a relationship with a hotel for when we need to put people up when a place gets closed down by the housing inspectors.
So what about for fires due to what we've been having? Is this in?
This service is not available for fires.
They're very close, that's what it is.
That's right. That's very close.
Oh, okay. Then due to where I see 39, due to where you just to buy a new truck for a leaf truck. Do we still have one in service, or do we have to wait till this one is bought?
It's not for the police, Daniel. That's for the Department of Public Works.
That's what I said.
Oh, you said police.
I said leaf
Oh,
trucks.
leaves, I understood police, I'm sorry. So what is it that you want to know, Daniel? I apologize.
Due to where, is the leaf truck working now, or do we have to wait till a new one is brought?
Mr. Valenti.
Yes, this is intended to replace the existing leaf truck, which is a 1998 crane carrier. It's an old dinosaur. Currently, you require a driver and 4 people to operate this vehicle to pick up the leaves. This new leaf truck will require a driver and 1 individual only. So not only are we upgrading and replacing equipment, we're trying to make the operational leaf pickup more efficient.
Okay, thank you, good to hear. And also going to 45, due to where, like I said, well, when it comes to what, this is an opioid settlement, due to where, like I said, wow, I don't feel Newport, the city council, taking opioids seriously. Like I said, you've got over $1 million already. It's been a whole year with the first grant to go through. Please, we would like to see something. I even gave you advice what to help people do with opioids. It's not even just with opioids. Like I said, what? I don't let it get to my head. I've been taking Percocet and oxycodone over 20 years. I'm not addicted. Why? Because I do not keep my mind focused. I keep telling you, wow, money you got, come on, wow, the open building, give the people something to do. Pool table, due to it, it's like you have one building on Joyce Comer, that one's for mental. Now why don't you just give the people something to do to distract their problem, and don't tell me it doesn't work, because like I said, the doctor looked at me, wow, I never seen anyone like you do to where to show taking it for 20 years, not addicted. That's because, wow, I don't sit around thinking about my pain due to where even though it's cold, I can't come outside now. I got me 2 5-month-old kittens to try to help me keep having fun to distract my situation. But come on, out of all this money that I'm seeing New Brunswick getting, do I see that this being taken seriously? No, I don't. And like I said, due to where you do have some people out there who does this just to get a lawsuit, due to where, but like I said, if I can do it, due to where, and I told you how I can do it, it's about putting it in your brain. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, I help people, I volunteer around helping people, but what did I say? As I'm helping someone else, I'm helping myself as well, due to where keeping my mind off of my situation, due to where, what? Why don't the city take it seriously and start doing it? Like I said, it's not about, just because, this person's grown. It's about if saying, it's only if the person wants to do this. It's not true. If you have the right people, like I said, like me, how many people I have helped out of here this past 3 months, please, like I said, why don't you take matters seriously? Thank you.
Before the next President, Mr. Julius, can you talk a little bit about this budget insertion of opioid, the grant, explain a little bit what it is and if we actually have that money?
Sure. So it's, as you pointed out, it's a grant to Chapter 159 budget insertion, which we're required to do when the city receives grant money, so it can take it in and properly log it in the grant fund. This is something that, as we have mentioned in the past, will be contemplated in the 2025 budget planning, which is underway. These funds will be held in the grant fund until they can be appropriated.
Thank you.
Hello, April Rouse, Main Street. So I also have questions about this same resolution number 45 on the agenda. Can you remind us how much money in aggregate the city has now received from this opioid settlement?
I don't. The money is as a result of a court case, and it has been coming in as that money has been distributed from that case. So, and I don't have a running copy.
Do we have any approximation at all, roughly?
That would be 79, more than 79,000. That's what we got in this.
And do we, I know this has been going on for a while. This has come up at a number of these meetings in the past over time. Can you remind us, when was the first settlement money received?
We have that
approximately.
We don't have that information.
Was it earlier this year? Was it last year?
We don't want to speculate as to when.
Okay. So I take it from the earlier statement about this being part of the 2025 budget planning that none of this money has been put to use for any programs yet. Is that correct?
No. These insertions are being held pending an appropriation.
And can you shed any light on any specific planning that's in the works or ideas for how the city might intend to use this money?
Do you have any plans at this point? Just working on.
The money is received with some stipulations, and those are stipulations that we'll be reviewing in that process.
Do we know what those stipulations are?
Off the top of my head, they're a community benefit as it relates to the opioid epidemic that the city was subjected to.
Right. So that sounds already like it's pretty broad to allow for a number of community programs or services. So are there any specific?
What I would say is, since we don't have that information at this time, I'm pretty sure that once we have that information, we'll make sure that we share it here. So that because I know that it has been asked. So as soon as we have it, we will share it.
And can you at least say what department or person in the city government is heading up the planning for how these funds are to be used?
Well, the budget process requires that the mayor and the administration assemble a budget and then bring it to the council, and council brings it to the public.
What department would be in charge of?
Administration, the mayor and administration. You're looking at him.
So we don't know what, for the types of programs that these funds are being used for, we don't know what city department.
It hasn't, at this point, like he says, we're still in the planning process, right? We just got this budget insertion and it will be worked out. As soon as it's worked out, we will have that information we'll pass to you.
Can you give some insight into when the 2025 budget planning process is going to be completed? When we might be likely to get this information?
Have an estimate?
Statutorily, there is a date that the budget must be introduced. I believe it's in April in 2025. In that introduction, this is what it would be.
Thank you.
Anybody else, any questions of the resolutions only?
Yes, actually, I have a comment on something you said. You said you were subjected to an opioid crisis. I have to ask how the city was subjected to an opioid crisis. We don't have a community center.
Ma'am, I don't interrupt you. Do you have any questions on the resolution?
I don't have any questions.
So as soon as we finish with the resolutions, you will come back in the public comments and we would love to hear you. Thank you. Anybody else on the resolutions? On the resolutions only? Seeing none?
Move the resolutions.
Second. Councilmember Castañeda.
Yes, but abstaining on 8 and 13.
Duly noted. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes, but abstaining on 9, 23, and 43.
Duly noted. Councilmember Gaskins.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Council President Escobar.
Yes. Before we go into the public comment portion of the meeting, I just wanted real quick give an update. In one of the previous meetings, there was questions about the benches across Elbridge. We're trying to figure out what area, but if it's the area of 317 George Street, that's private property. So the reason why they were moved, that's something that the city has no control over. So since it's private property. And I just want to remind, there's a few events going on this week. The Brunswick Public Library has, on Friday, has a very good workshop for navigating resources for family who has special needs or disabilities. So it's on Friday at 1 o'clock, from 1 to 5. You have to register, so look in the website for the public library. It's a good workshop for families. And also tomorrow, it's a Brunswick tree lighting event. It's a family-friendly day for families. Please come out. It starts at 5, right? 5:30. At 5:30. We're going to have our children, the students in the choir participate. Come and join us. It should be a fun event for all the families. Any of my fellow council members have anything to say before we open?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to add to the holiday celebration for tomorrow. We do have the tree lighting. The children's choir from the Fall Robeson School will be starting us off with a performance, and there'll be a sing-along by approximately 50 students with our first performer. There'll be free hot chocolate. There's free ice skating tomorrow night. The ice skating will be there all weekend. There's going to be movies outdoors. There's a gingerbread house contest where you can go in and vote at NBPAC by paper ballot. The schools had a fantastic participation this year, and really proud of everything they've done, so it'd be nice to show them and the businesses from the town your support and vote on that, and just hope everybody enjoys it tomorrow night.
Thank you. At this time, I'm sorry.
Just also in the tree lighting festivities, we do have also on Front Street on Sunday, I believe starting at 3 o'clock, and this is the Front Street businesses assisted by the Brunswick Small.
That's at
War Memorial Park. Yes, sorry, yes, thank you.
So it's a lot of holiday activities. Come and enjoy with the family. So at this time, we are preparing to open the meeting for public comment. You will have up to 5 minutes. One person, one time up. As I always say every time we meet. This is not a question and answer period. This is not a debate period. This is a time where we're going to hear your comments. I will jot down any questions that you might have or anything that we need to address, and I will address that at the next meeting. So at this time, if you would like to address the council, please come forward.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore. I'm sorry to say I won't be able to hear everyone tonight due to where I gotta hurry up and get back home to my 2 kittens. Hope they didn't tear my room up after I just had them neutered and shots today. So I have to hurry up and get back. No disrespecting anyone. But okay, I will speak on a matter due to where I'm seeing too many people sleeping on churches and all, due to where only 20 spaces available for code blue. New Brunswick needs to do better. I will speak try to do my best to get to the county and speak on it as well, due to as a resident almost 48 years. New Brunswick was never like this, but my main purpose why I did leave my kittens and I had to come down here, that's where, for my safety, and I really have to speak, I'm really worried over Mr. Paul Dean, due to where, and I'm surely not trusting New Brunswick Police Department of accusing me of something, but I've got advice as well from others due to where I am getting very scared with Mr. Paul Dean. If anyone, if I can try to reach his daughter, this is the top time due to where I was told by a social worker to give him his medication due to her to help out for certain reasons I'm not going to say, but now at this time due to where Mr. Dean has been rejecting me giving him medication and telling him, let him go, let him go. My only purpose is being scared. That's what New Brunswick Police Department, how they accused me of something before. I'm speaking on this because I do not want to have matters due to where New Brunswick Police Department is accusing me that I did something wrong to Mr. Dean. Because I told you I've had special vision. I'm trying my best not to let it happen due to where you see me speak against Mr. Dean several times. But like I said, my point of doing, I do not want to be the one to open his door where I have the keys to his house to find him laid out where he's been collapsing so many times. 2 weeks ago when I called the police due to where, and the ambulance, I don't like the law is due to where if a person says no, and you see acting funny that no one to make him go to the hospital. I'm trying to do my best as a neighbor, but like I said, it's not like you've never seen me speak against Mr. Dean and why I'm speaking for Mr. Dean now. But like I said, and even though I'm talking on the phone, oh no, I'm not going to be here, don't bring me my medication. Then he starts talking about my little 2 kittens where I took him over there, introduced him, try to distract him. He's known now due to where, how he says it, wow, why am I so depressed in this house? Yes, I'm telling him it's time to get out because that's what I'm seeing. When I do, only doctors I'm able to go with him, that's only in the area where that's a cancer center. I can only do so much for Mr. Dean, and then like I said, I have to worry about my own situation where, possible surgery for me, but like I said, due to where, please, what I'm seeing with New Brunswick Police Department always trying to make me out of a like I'm doing something wrong. But wow, whenever I'm doing something good, you're never there to look at me wondering what I'm doing. When I got the turkey from your church due to her, what did I say I was going to do? I was going to make homemade turkey soup, and I did. I served it over to Walgreens, over to Townsend Street. I take turns in every area, like I said, no matter what race, creed, or color, we need each other. But like I said, I'm trying to help Mr. Dean. I've even offered his 2 best friends, I mean real friends as witness, here's the lump sum of money here. This is from your insurance company. Here, come on, do this, do this. I've tried to help him in so many ways, but at this point, I'm not sure if I can, I want to continue helping, but for my sake, I'm just saying in front of Captain Hoover and having this recorded, please, due to where I am not going to be at fault at anything. I do the best thing I can help Mr. Dean with, but like I said, with him rejecting medication, which he was doing better on medication, and the police department should know that, due to where what? Less calls. You used to get phone calls every day over there, and the witness, due to where that, the main person, due to where Mr. Dean needs someone to talk to. Sergeant Bobadilla is the main one that understands that because he talks to him. But the main thing, if anyone watched Spark Tree, at the end of it, it shows sparks when it shows love, when the right thing is done. And it's time for his daughter, please, anyone can reach her, and please take me seriously, where he keeps mentioning My Little Princess, with the cat Spooky. That was the name of their cat, every time he sees my cat. But like I said, for my safety, I do not trust New Brunswick Police Department trying to make it as I'm doing something wrong to Mr. Dean, and I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart since I lost my mother. But thank you all. You have a good night.
Thank you. All right, so I'll just state my name. State your name and state your comment, okay?
My name is Kenise Howard, and I wanted to submit this as part of review for my public comment. Am I able to do this at all?
We'll give that to the city clerk.
Okay.
Did you want to give it to?
Yeah, you can just pass it around. All right, my name is Kenise Howard, and I am here in regards to an ongoing parking issue where I reside. I've been a resident at 173 Front Street since 2016. This is the building on the corner of Alexander and Front Street next to Sandy Chicken. This is not my first time addressing City Council and city officials regarding this ongoing parking issue. Sorry if I sound parched, I've been here for about 2 hours. Over the years, I've been informed by city officials and parking authority that residents of this building are not eligible for parking permits due to zoning regulations that classifies the building as a business property due to the retail spaces on the first floor. And because of this, residents are not allowed to receive parking permits, and we receive tickets where we live. As a proposed solution, I was advised to park across the street at Walgreens or even consider moving, both of which I was personally offended and found to not only be absurd but deeply disappointing coming from city officials. I'm pretty sure if you were me, you would feel the same way. So let me add that the business owner of the convenience store at the bottom of our building has a parking permit. Might I also add that there are 2 occupied mobile homes that has been parked behind my apartment building for almost 2 years, simulating a private junkyard, and I'm sure he's not paying the same rent as me or getting parking tickets. This is the lot I suggested to the landlord to use as a small parking lot for residents when I first moved there, but I was advised that the owner of the lot cannot be reached or found and nothing can be done about it. So this entire situation, I feel as though it's not fair is unfair and unacceptable to tenants that are being made responsible for this. Residents should have been made aware of this matter prior to moving into these apartments, and it would have been nice if the city had looked further into this. Residents should not have to bear burden of parking tickets, nor should we be suggested to park in a dangerous store parking lot accompanied by dangerous intersections of Handy, Jersey Avenue, and Front Street, nor threatened with eviction for voicing this matter, and we should have the right to obtain parking permits as legal tenants. So I'm here to seek a dismissal of the recent parking ticket I received for parking where I live, but also a valid solution to this issue, not only for myself, but for other tenants as well. And we'd like to know how the city and parking authority is going to handle this.
In terms of the parking, we have no jurisdiction of the tickets that you received. We cannot tell you that it's dismissed. In terms of the situation, I took the information and I will make sure that I talk to the city administrator and see who will be the person and department in charge that will handle this, and we'll make sure that we'll follow up.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, how are we doing tonight? My name is Brandon Gillibo. I really don't need the mic. I know this is just for comments, but I just had a few questions that I'm sure you'll be able to answer at the next meeting in regards to the smoking ban. I've been a resident here since 2012. I went to Rutgers. I work in town. I've worked at multiple restaurants in town. I just feel like this isn't considered to how it may affect people who live here and work in town, much like the parking situation, which is neither here nor there. How will I be ticketed if I'm smoking a cigarette, right? Is it a cigarette, cigar, vape? Are there going to be designated smoking areas? If I'm to get a ticket, do I have to present my ID? If I don't want to present my ID, am I now subject to more punishment because I don't want to submit my ID because I'm smoking a cigarette? What does it mean for my job, where I'm a bartender and we have an enclosed space and we allow people to smoke in there, right? So I'm at Blackthorn, just so y'all know. I work right down the street at Blackthorn. Used to work at Stage Left. Used to work at Harvest Moon. So, this is something that is a part of why people come to New Brunswick, right? They come to New Brunswick because they know that in the summertime, they can open, the street will be open, they'll be able to sit outside, smoke a cigarette, not be bothered, right? What other city is doing this, is showing success from it, right? What data do we have that says that if we get rid of this smoking, it's gonna increase the commerce in this town, the foot traffic in this town, right? For me, it seems very directed, and it doesn't seem like it will behoove a majority of us, right? There are people who don't like the smell of smoke, and that upsets them, and I respect that. I get that you don't like the smell of smoke. I don't like the smell of body odor, right? So do I now get to vilify somebody because they're walking past me in the street and I now have to smell their funk or whatever odor they have of the day? How are we going to make sure that people's liberties are not being encroached on, right? While also protecting those same people who want their liberties protected, that they don't want to smell smoke, right? Are we going to start ticketing people who don't even know we're a non-smoking city, right? What examples do we have to go off of this legislation? And like I said, this is probably an answer for the next time, but I just would like to let you know that I'm here for it. I came here for the last meeting. I'll be at the next one. Maybe there's a resource on the website that I missed that I should check out that'll lay it out in more layman's terms for me, which, I'm willing to admit that I missed it. I'm not saying I'm above it, but yeah, that's just my question. That's just my comments, and like I said, I would like to not get ticketed for hitting my vape walking on my way to work, or walking to the Hub on French Street or the Walgreens or Queens or any place in New Brunswick that I've walked to since I came to New Brunswick in 2009, and it's not been an issue. So, thank you guys. See y'all.
Yes.
I would also say, if you get a chance, take a look at the state website on smoking, because we've also incorporated all that, because that's what we have to do.
Okay. And also, there should be an updated version of what we're trying to do. Make sure that you read that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. That was. Y'all have a great night.
My name is Shahar Alexandra. I have been the head of policy for the Interfaith Rotating Shelter for the last 2.5 years, taking a very direct role in assessing the community and its needs. Through the Interfaith Rotating Shelter, I have helped to provide over 30 people with a cumulative 6 months of housing. Each night we provide the same 15 men a safe place to rest, food to eat, and clean bedding to sleep in. I personally assess each guest, take part in executing point-in-time surveys, and do regular overnights. Our spaces are lent, our staff all volunteer. Our budget has never exceeded $3,500. It is deeply rewarding, even on the days where it really feels like work, because our community members are worth it. I'm telling you this because I want you to know it is possible for us to do better than what I am seeing. The city must be moved to restore Code Blue to greater capacity. As a younger woman, I was homeless in the streets of this city and also from nowhere. There wasn't a safe place for me to return to. I was fleeing abuse and had been in the child welfare system. According to this council, that means I would not have deserved the safety of shelter here. You say, other towns will not build shelter, we should not have to pick up their slack, they are only here for housing. And to that I say, you are correct, people will go where there is housing. They will go where shelter is, because shelter is a basic human need. Pretending that this can be changed or absolved by something as arbitrary as a previous address is deeply callous. I question what a community is and what it means to lead to those gathered. Shouldn't we lead by example? Since others won't step up so readily, we can embolden them through our own actions. Shouldn't we be proud? This city is the center of one of the most prominent universities in the U.S. It is a rich landscape of culture, art, language, and food. Of course the weary want to come here. Of course the needful want to be where there is plenty. It is our sacred duty as those with more to do more. New Jersey is experiencing record rates of homelessness. Last January, in the heart of winter, there were 70 people sleeping outside after those accounted for in emergency housing such as Code Blue. This is the number we were able to survey with undoubted more out there. Middlesex County is among the worst to currently be homeless in, with only a fraction of our homeless being given safe, consistent housing. Our county is home to 5% of those consistently struggling with homelessness, but a gutting 9% of the state's completely unsheltered population. We should balk at these numbers. People in Camden or Essex County have a higher chance of securing shelter placement. Code Blue is being funded at an incredible $150,000 with a deplorable capacity drop from 2022 to now. People are dying from exposure, begging for help without knowing where to turn. They are doing this while we talk about spending nearly $200,000 on new guns. We have money for things that end lives, but none for what preserves it. Your neighbors are alive. And like you, they deserve a real chance for the future. One dying in the cold will deny them permanently. Nearly 100 people that we could count slept rough last winter. The injuries they incur cost thousands of dollars to remedy what letting them inside would prevent in a night. It is foolish to bury our heads in the sand and decide someone in some faraway place will magic up the resources people are desperate for. Should people freeze while we hand-wring over what others won't do, while we have the power, time, and bravery to act now? The foundation of any city is the people who live in it. All the people who live in it. The foundation cracks, turning to sand when the people of that city suffer from preventable calamity. Hub City is losing precious bedrock, and we cannot sit idly by while deprioritizing the most vulnerable of us. Often, the only difference between us and those on the street is whether or not we have the money to be inside. The first sign of civilization is thought to be a healed femur, an undeniable sign that others would sacrifice for the sick and vulnerable. To those gathered, I say this: we can collectively choose better. Right now, you have the ability to do something. Your neighbors want to speak to you and tell you about their experiences and lives here. The winter is so cold, and we could build the fire for a better, brighter place together, but we must go all of us together, all of us. Or we can watch this city burn with the sickness of injustice inside it. And so I ask, how do you want to stay warm this winter?
My name is Jasmine Bruin from Robeson Road. I'd like to give these to the Madam Clerk for the report. Okay, good evening. As temperatures drop, Code Blue is meant to ensure that no one in our city suffers the indignity or danger of being left in the cold. But we know this promise has been broken through mismanagement, neglect, a failure to listen to the community. Tonight, I'm here to speak to you not just about the problems, but about solutions. Practical, reasonable, life-saving solutions that center dignity and safety for all. Our demands are not just ideas, they are actions that the city can take to address systematic failures and rebuild trust. Our first demand, reintegrate volunteers into Code Blue program. Volunteers don't just reduce costs, they expand the program's capacity and provide community oversight, ensuring the program is more responsive and transparent. Removing them from the program hurt the program's effectiveness and trustworthiness. We demand their immediate reinstatement. Number 2, install digital thermometers in parks. Installing digital thermometers in 15 parks ensures that people without phones or internet, the most vulnerable of us, can see when Code Blue is activated. This creates equitable access to life-saving information, benefiting not only just the houseless, but families and seniors in heating emergencies. Number 3, open additional warming centers. Using the police station lobby as a shelter is unsafe and undignified. We propose opening a second warming center at the Henry Guest House and a third if capacity exceeds 40 guests. These centers already exist and require minimal conversion, but they need staffing and supplies to provide the dignity and safety that people in New Brunswick deserve. continuous operation of warming centers. Research shows hypothermia can occur at temperatures as high as 50 degrees Fahrenheit, especially with wind and wet conditions. Warming centers must remain open continuously when temperatures drop below this threshold to prevent injuries and save lives. Number 5, sorry for that, so keep reading that. Number 5, almost done. Ensure compliance with S3511 and proactive measures. State law requires code blue activations during freezing temperatures, yet the city has failed to comply in the past. We must go further, not just to meet state mandates, but exceeding them with proactive measures to protect those at risk. Number 6, establish a community oversight board. To rebuild trust, we propose a 5-member oversight board for the Department of Human and Community Affairs. At least 3 members that have lived experience with houselessness, and a board will oversee operations, set standards, and ensure transparency. Number 7, replace Keith Jones II. Keith Jones II has failed to meet the community's standards and needs. From removing volunteers to insisting on oversight and violating state law, we could call for his replacement through a transparent process led by the Oversight Board, ensuring leadership rooted in empathy, accountability, and experience. These demands are not radical, they're reasonable. They represent the community's voice and reflect our collective responsibility to care for one another. What we're asking for is not just addressing problems, it's about building trust and ensuring a New Brunswick where no one is left behind. The City of New Brunswick has eroded our trust through mismanagement of the Department of Human and Community Services. As our elected officials, we hold you responsible for these failures and urge you to take immediate action. As a united community, we call on you, not to place blame, but to work together to save lives and protect the dignity of every single resident. These demands reflect both urgent actions and long-term solutions. While some goals will require time and refinement, others, such as reintegration of volunteers and continuous warming center operation, can and must be implemented immediately to prevent further harm. We cannot wait another minute longer. Lives here are at stake. Importantly, these reforms do not come at a great cost to the city. By leveraging existing spaces and resources and community partnerships, the expenses are manageable and represent an investment in our health and well-being of our residents. Furthermore, implementing these measures will ultimately reduce the financial burden of treating cold-related injuries and emergencies, which strain both medical services and public resources. To ensure accountability and rebuild trust, we call for regular public updates on the implementation of these reforms. I have one more line.
Okay.
Thank you. We are the community and we stand united in demanding action that reflects the needs and humanity of every single resident. We urge you to act now. Thank you.
Being tall. My name is Lord Mormon. I am a resident of Perth Amboy, but I was here in New Brunswick, and if I didn't run into Jason and Shahar, I don't know what would have happened because I never experienced homeless. I always made a very high 6-figure salary, and through bad business investments, I wound up homeless. And it was frightening, and it was horrific. I became very sick. I had pneumonia, I had all kinds of things. And so I've joined Shahar and Jason in a lot of their endeavors, volunteering, because I wanted to give back, because being homeless is horrific. I don't care if you're a billionaire or a multimillionaire, you have no more right to exist and to have running water or to have electricity than the least homeless person. You are no more. And coming from making such a high amount of money to having nothing, if it wasn't for Jason contacting me, I forget your last name, Jason. If it wasn't for him contacting me, and I was so excited because I was sleeping in my storage unit for almost a year. From that, I had pneumonia, still have an infected back, and my brain has swollen up to its limit. So I'm told that there are funds available for up to 600 homeless people, but yet the figure I was told is 40 people. I'm like, well, if there's funds for 600, why can't you bring them in? Because if anybody in here has ever had to go through what I had to go through, you would think differently. But these are residents who pay taxes. Maybe they don't pay taxes on a home, but whenever they buy something, they're paying taxes, right? So they deserve everything that New Brunswick has to offer. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Carmen Hernandez Morales. At the age of 60, I became a domestic violence victim. I ended up in a shelter, women abuse shelter. I was dismissed by the shelter because there was no more them to do. So I ended up homeless, and I didn't choose to be homeless. I was just homeless. And for people to be homeless is very hard. I was 2 years in the street and never knew what a cold weather was outside. Until I had to sleep outside in the cold, go to the bathroom outside, almost getting raped, stove beating, and bullied by the police department in Brunswick that I didn't belong here, or why I came here. Because I ended up homeless here. How do I know where to go? Go someplace else. Where am I going to go? I don't know nothing about here. I don't know where to go, where to search for help. Finally, I met people. I educated myself in the internet a little bit about where to go for food, how to keep warm, who to contact. I met Yoshi, Holly, Charlie. Here is going to run for mayor, hopefully. And they introduced me to a few other places that I could go for help. I took a walk from Brunswick to Edison on my own because I was from his house and I never got it. I never was homeless, so I didn't know how to do anything. So I was a housewife for many years. I also had a job, also had a good life. But it is what it is. So when I walked to Edison, I went to this place and I found a housing, I found a home. I contacted my friend to help me out with car, traveling, and advised me where to go for a little income, more help, pay the housing, and finally I'm in a home. But for people now to say that homeless people have to be outside, and they're going to cut down the beds in a shelter in Ransom Avenue, that's what I was. That's all it is there. You don't want to live there. You're just there to sleep. That's all they allow you to do there. You see, I would do anything to just sleep in a closet if I could sleep warm. I'd do anything, please. Just think about humanity, people. I mean, you got families, maybe, they're not homeless, but think, you don't never know what's going to be tomorrow. I never knew that I was going to end up in the street homeless. I had it all. I had everything I wanted in my life. Everything come easy. But the last 4 years, it was a surprise for me. And I don't wish this in anybody, because you never know tomorrow. You never know what's going to be tomorrow. You might be sitting there today. How do you know you're not going to end up like me? You don't know. We're all humans. We have to love each other. We all have to care about each other. Please, think about the people that are traumatized mentally. Sometimes we don't know any better but cry. And why? Please, no help. Do something about what we need. Thank God I'm not in Brunswick anymore, but I was bullied. The police department, if I go to the house, they get out of here. Where I'm going to go is raining. I don't know, find a place to go. I end up in the police department one night. I asked to use the bathroom. You're not allowed to use the bathroom, please. Say, well, you have 2 legs to walk, find someplace else. I said, but I have to urinate. Well, I'm not allowed to use the bathroom. I said, well, I'm going to have to do something. So he said, if you urinate in here, I'll lock you up. So I have to go outside, urinate in front of the building. I was bullied by them. It's nothing you could do about it because I'm a small person here. So please think about humanity, people, and love each other. Help. We need help. People need help. We all human, please. We all came from God. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carissa Cunningham, you guys have seen me before. Dear City Council members, I am here today to urge you to support the demands regarding Code Blue. In 2008, my life changed forever. My father lost his job and my family's stability unraveled. We relied on unemployment benefits, Medicaid, and food stamps to survive. At just 14 years old, I had to advocate for my family's needs instead of simply growing up. I became responsible for helping put food on the table, cutting coupons, grocery shopping, budgeting, and cooking alongside my older brother because both my parents had to work, not just my dad. Eventually, we lost our home to foreclosure, forcing us to move. The financial strain took a toll, and my parents' marriage didn't survive. For the first time, homelessness felt like a real and terrifying possibility. The fear was so overwhelming that I experienced suicidal thoughts as a child. The way people look at my family changed. Pity was the best we could hope for, but often it was disdain from government officials, service providers, and even people at church. These experiences profoundly shaped me. It's why I'm here today. Despite 11 years of higher education, I earn $52,000 annually, just below the median income in New Brunswick. I have no savings, $20,000 in credit card debt, and $20,000 in student loans. If I lost my job tomorrow, I could face homelessness within months. A millennial renter with no savings or retirement fund is, on average, just over 3 months, 114 days away from becoming homeless. I am no different from the average American, as none of us are. When I advocate for warming centers, I'm not only fighting for others, I'm also fighting for myself and my family. Warming centers benefit everyone in our community. They provide refuge from the cold, especially for our most vulnerable neighbors, those who are disabled, impoverished, or houseless. Yet I am deeply disappointed in how the city has handled them. As someone who helps run the mutual aid distribution program in my organization, the Democratic Socialists of America, I've heard harrowing stories. People who have shared experiences of losing fingers, toes, and limbs to frostbite. I've witnessed the hostility from city officials and police towards mutual aid efforts. Cops frequently approach us just for simply interacting with our houseless neighbors. Using the police station lobby as a warming center is not a solution. It's a failure of compassion. The police do not represent safety for many in New Brunswick. I've seen them drag a neighbor into the street during a mental health crisis twice while pointing an AR-15 at him. I've filmed officers escalating situations rather than just de-escalating them, only to be threatened by a city employee who told me I'd be next if I didn't stop recording. The lobby lacks facilities for comfort and dignity, and for many the police station is a place of fear, not refuge. The demands we are making offer practical, humane solutions to address these injustices both now and in the long term. I want to trust my city government. I want warming centers that provide safety and dignity. I want a community where my neighbors and I feel supported, not abandoned. With all that said, I want to make a personal plea to all of you as our elected representatives to act on these demands. Rebecca Escobar, you have shown leadership on the City Council, handling all interactions with the public at these meetings with no visible support from the rest of the council or the mayor. I expect more from the rest of you. We want to have trust in you. I want my neighbors to be safe and warm. You have the power to do something. Please do it before it's too late. And the last thing that I want to say is that the county called a code blue for tonight, but New Brunswick did not, okay? They did not, which means our neighbors are out in the cold right now. I can't sleep, okay? Because I'm thinking about my neighbors in the cold. so easily. It's in your power. Maybe it's not easy, but it's worth it. So please, please, please do something. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Alina Chekhanov. I live on Delavan Street, and I've lived in New Brunswick for 5 years. I've recently learned about New Brunswick's warming center services and have come to express my disappointment in the current process and support for the demands that you see in front of you. The homeless in this city are our neighbors and the human beings who have been failed by their government. Many of us are one illness, one layoff, one disaster away from homelessness ourselves. Some of us have family who would help us get back on our feet, while many of us have no one to help and nowhere to go. This especially goes for queer and disabled people and Black and brown people. This is where ideally social services would come in. There is so much money provided to help people that gets mismanaged and whittled away to nothing but foil blankets and a handful of cots. And we are supposed to act grateful. This isn't charity. We have all paid taxes, worked jobs, and provided for our communities. It's sick to pretend that our government, who we all pay into, help elect to represent us, don't owe us anything. And the life-saving measures of a warming center is bare minimum. I recently learned that the city receives over $100,000 from the county to operate these warming centers, yet they're low capacity and often closed at freezing temperatures. Where is this money going? We demand full transparency for these funds, publicly available so we can hold those accountable who are obviously mismanaging these funds. $100,000 for 3 months of running basically a tiny part-time hostel. The people sleeping on the streets are mothers and grandmothers, professors, medical professionals, full humans with histories and goals and hopes. We owe them more than this joke of an effort to barely comply with state law. You have the expertise to manage this, you have the money to manage this, and you have the responsibility to act on this issue, which literally means life or death for those in your city. Please do not let your neighbors freeze to death this winter. Please act now to expand the capacity of the warming center and better the management and transparency around the organizing of the centers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexander Vargas. I'm a 12-year resident in New Brunswick. As someone who has been fortunate and privileged enough to have never had to want for safety and warmth or shelter, I recognize how easy it is to take for granted having a place to stay warm is. Upon learning much about the recent history of the city's Code Blue program, I am appalled at how the program has been managed. The shelter is not nearly open enough and does not provide nearly enough spaces for the need. The capacity is a fraction of the size of the number of houseless residents in the city. We take for granted human lives when we deny people access to a warming center. And when we make it so difficult to know when and if warming centers will be open. It's very ironic that there could be any person being denied entry to a warm center when the program runner has made the decision to deny volunteers. As such, I recommend the council adopt the demands as mentioned prior with regards to the Code Blue program. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Yoshi Su. I'm a resident of Princeton who works in the area, and I spend a lot of time in New Brunswick volunteering and spending time with my community. I have been a volunteer in the Code Blue Warming Center when it used to be at the Henry Guest House next to the New Brunswick Free Library, in the Code Blue Warming Center on the second floor of Unity Square, and in the Interfaith Rotating Men's Shelter Program. So I know a thing or two about being in community with our houseless neighbors. I know and I have found that people are grateful for shelter, whether it is from thirst, hunger, physical or mental abuse, disease, discrimination, unexpected catastrophe, or extreme temperatures. All factors that negatively impact quality of life and cause life-altering injuries. We have heard these stories where people had been unable to find warming places because a lot of public places have, not been like open late. Public library closes, it doesn't even open on Sundays. And then, when you're out exposed to the elements for hours at a time, like frostbite sets in, and if not death, then you are losing appendages, and we have heard these horror stories. We have seen, women who have been fleeing domestic abuse and nowhere to turn to because there's no women's shelter. The warming center's capacity is also at a published 30, but I heard that at the previous meeting it was said to be 20. So let me continue. On the evening of November 28th, the city of New Brunswick declared its code blue alert, which is triggered when temperature dipped below the freezing temperature of 32 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 consecutive hours, would do so for each subsequent day, including, well, not today, now that we found out, and likely to declare code blue alert for 8 of the next 10 days due to sub-freezing temperatures. It feels just a tad bit absurd to wait until 3:27 p.m., which was when code blue was announced on November 28th, to declare this code blue a little bit less than 4 hours before the Unity Square Community Center is slated to open its doors as a warming center. But still more absurd is the city having to declare code blue every day, when only 2 out of the 16 evenings since November 28th are not below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Would it not be better for New Brunswick to announce a slew of code blue dates at once? Open the doors of the warming center and keep it operating without interruption during those dates. We have witnessed neighboring Union County implement this practice successfully. And considering that New Brunswick has received a grant of over $100,000 for the operation of code blue emergency shelter, we should not be satisfied with just opening the warming shelter only for days at a time. Upon announcing the first code blue alert, it would be smarter for the city of New Brunswick to declare a code blue emergency, or CBE. For the entire duration of CBE, the doors of the warming shelter shall be opened and the warming shelter will remain in continuous operation until the termination of the final code blue alert, which would mark the lifting of CBE. As we know, the Unity Square Warming Center is a public social good. If someone lives in an apartment with a heating issue, or is fleeing domestic violence, or lost their housing to electrical fire, all too common occurrences, it is a blessing that one can turn to Unity Square for shelter. However, as the current arrangement stands, the published capacity of 30 people is wholly inadequate. Considering the totally unsheltered houseless population in New Brunswick is at nearly 100 people presently, it alarms me that the city is mulling a cut in beds from 30 to 20. We should be doing more to increase the capacity of the warming center, and if the current footprint at Unity Square proves insufficient, then the city should open up additional spaces to serve as warming centers. For example, like the Henry Guest House that I had volunteered in. The city received a grant for the operation of the emergency shelter, so let's spend it wisely by increasing our warming center capacity and keeping the doors open for the duration of CBE. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaac, and I'm a student here at Rutgers. Before I speak a bit about the warming center, I want to say that on the topic of the benches, even though that 317 George Street is private property, that doesn't really explain why A, the benches were replaced with lean benches at the bus stops, and B, why the rest of George Street also lost all its benches. So frankly, I find that explanation just insufficient.
Just, you were not here once the bus stops, that they were replaced with standing benches, and private property we have no control over. But we did explain at our previous meeting the replacement of those, the bus stops benches.
Yeah, I understand that they were replaced, but I don't think anyone would agree that the leaning benches are preferable to the sitting ones.
That's not our decision. That's a decision made.
Okay. I think it's worth addressing here today that many of the people gathered here on behalf of advocating for the unhoused population are young people and our students. And I want to give my perspective as a student and talk briefly about how these proposed demands for the warming center benefit the community at large and including the students. But before I do so, I think it's my obligation to say that these proposals and the general uplifting of the community shouldn't be for the students' benefit. As a student, I understand that my time here likely is temporary and that I may be leaving New Brunswick eventually. But I think that the people who have existed here before me deserve to have their needs met regardless of what I need. During my time here, it's become all too apparent to me that these needs are often thrown to the wayside in favor of opportunities to make profits and cater to students. We have poor services, frankly, for the unhoused community and the community at large, and instead we cater to the students and the wealthy when we propose projects like the Helix Hub, which are only going to raise prices and make it harder for the people of this city. But with that being said, it's still my firm belief that these proposals and the sentiment they express are beneficial to the entirety of the New Brunswick community, including students. I don't just advocate for the homeless because I think it's the right thing to do. I also do so because they're my friends. These are people that I've laughed with and that I've learned from, and who I've witnessed be of assistance to those in need, especially to the people using the transit system. Cutting back on these services that help the homeless and the impoverished will only broaden the rift between students and members of the larger community, depriving others of the experiences that I've been so fortunate to have. In fact, reintroducing volunteering opportunities, as the proposals state, would be a great way to engage other people with the community. In fact, as I've learned in my studies and doing psychology, I also happen to believe that these services bring the community together and will make a safer environment for everybody. In past meetings, we've talked a lot about crime rates, especially violent crime, and one of the leading causes of and correlations with violent crime is relative poverty. When we leave behind members of our community, crime rates skyrocket, and the best way to address this and to improve the safety for the entire city is to accept some of these proposals and do better when it comes to serving our impoverished community. So, with that being said, I think we have a both moral and scientific reason to invest in the uplifting of those who have often been neglected. The answer is to push for projects that will ensure no person in New Brunswick has their needs unmet, and thus bring the community, which includes the students of Rutgers, closer together. And with that in mind, I sincerely hope that you consider and accept the demands that are being made for the betterment of the warming center and New Brunswick at large. Thank you.
My name is Vaishnavi, and my affiliation to the city of New Brunswick doesn't matter as much. I have to be very clear and upfront about why I'm here today, because we know that the city council here today, standing and presiding among this body, is complicit in so many of the ills going on in this city. Number one, we know that there is a Helix Hub being constructed next to the train station. We know that Tel Aviv University is coming to our town. We know that Rutgers University, DevCo, J&J, and many other corporations, that of which the New Brunswick City Council is directly involved in, are going to partner together with genocidal maniacs while kicking the people that have been living here for decades out. They're going to contribute to the gentrification, they're going to contribute to the displacement, and they're going to contribute to general brutalization of the homeless people here. So we ask that Tel Aviv gets out of New Brunswick. As much as the council here wants to say today that it is not their decision, I would have to disagree with that. We also believe that the NJ Democrats and Governor Phil Murphy, that of which the City Council is also going to be involved in, must end the NJ Israel Commission that is directly related to why Tel Aviv is coming into the city in the first place. We also believe that the NJ Transit police officers that are brought forth to come and basically maim and harass and brutalize any homeless people at the New Brunswick train station, they must be stopped. We know the complicity that the city has in asking the transit officers to also be there, as well as the New Brunswick cops, continuing the cycle of brutalization. It's just a constant criminalization that does not end for anyone here. And we believe that homes for all is actually a pretty fair and simple demand. We think that every person in New Brunswick deserves a roof over their head. We want a comprehensive housing program that includes homeless shelters, as there is currently no women's shelters in the entire city. How embarrassing is that? How embarrassing is it that we as a city cannot provide that? How embarrassing is it that we can't provide the bare minimum of housing vouchers and rent and reliable rent control for tenants? We also ask, as I was talking about the transit police earlier, that we've set the New Brunswick train station every day. Many times, more than once in a day, the transit police and the New Brunswick cops come into the train stations, come into places across New Brunswick where homeless people are seeking shelter and refuge, and brutalize them and ticket them and harass them for just existing. And we also believe that it is well within the purview of the City Council here to be able to provide the bare minimum of a youth center for the children here that have no place to actually, habitat or live or play, because what happens is that as more and more people are being brought into the city, as more and more gentrification happens and more pockets are filled, the students and the community members that need whatever they need from a city, it will not be able to get that. So I lay these words down today because I know the complicity in this room, and that's it.
Hi, good evening. My name is Holly. I work and volunteer in New Brunswick. I was here a lot about 2 years ago about the Code Blue issues, and I was one of the group of volunteers that was banned from, when all volunteers got banned from being there. And since then, I've stayed in contact with a lot of the people who I met at the shelter. And we've only heard it's gotten, the conditions have gotten worse. We've been told, oh, no more volunteers because we got staffed higher. But apparently it got worse. And then I also got to volunteer at the Interfaith Rotating Shelter, which operates on a budget of $3,500 compared to the $120,000. And it's like night and day. There, the people are cared for. There's a hot meal. The beds are more comfortable. People have dignity. There's volunteers can be there too. And look who the volunteers are. We're the ones who care. So, yeah, it's just very, very contradictory that there's an example right here in New Brunswick of a small budget and people who care actually making a place that provides peace and shelter. And we could do so much more. It's absurd. That's all I gotta say. Thanks.
Hi there, April Nicholas, Sedam Street. So I obviously want to echo the comments of earlier speakers about increasing the capacity of Code Blue and the need for other services. That's something that I know I've brought up several times at these meetings, and many other people have brought up repeatedly at these meetings. I know that there is someone from the Human and Community Services Department here tonight. Can we ask them if there are any new tonight? Okay. I can finish my question so that you can ask them next time. Can we ask them if there are any plans in the works currently towards increasing the capacity for these services or any of the other topics?
I'm taking notes of all of this because I'm listening to reduction of beds and all that. I haven't heard of any of that, so I just want to make sure. So I'm going to have a conversation with, and make sure that once I have that conversation, I will report back.
I also have a couple of other topics that I want to bring up that I think are important. And I think hopefully that the council is at least generally aware of this already, but there were at least 2 hit and runs in the city in November. I want to know what is being done about these issues, because we've talked about a variety of different crime issues in New Brunswick previously, including shootings, and traffic safety, pedestrian safety is a substantial issue in our city.
Are you looking to, if we are doing any educational campaign, pedestrian safety, hit and run, what is it specific?
Well, I'm curious, has there been investigation into the at least 2 hit and runs that have occurred, and have they been solved?
That's Captain Cooper, but I'm pretty sure the investigations have been done, everything.
Of course, they're being looked at, and they're both very active and very open.
Well, part of the reason that I asked that is in one of the recent hit-and-run cases, the victim was frustrated with the response of the police and publicly shared her concerns and said that the police officer who was responding to her case said that the police, quote, don't investigate hit-and-runs, quote, unless someone is killed and then maybe. That's what the victim of one of these recent hit-and-runs was told by a police officer when she asked about the next steps for investigating this case. So I, of course, am also going to ask, is it actually the policy of the New Brunswick Police Department to not investigate hit-and-runs?
Captain Hoover, I know that we have received those questions through other venues, but I don't know if you're ready to answer that question.
As with any instance where our professionalism is in question, we are aware of that code. It was handed off to the Internal Affairs Unit, and while I can't speak to it because it is still being looked into, initial findings suggest that there is a pretty substantial departure between that purported quote and reality. Okay? But yes, they're all being looked into, and they're all active and open.
So it's unsurprisingly that it sounds like the officer who said this is saying that he didn't say it, or who allegedly said it.
He didn't say that the officer said that.
Not what I said.
He never indicated that. So you're making that assumption.
Well, he's free to
He
clarify.
made a general statement. You're making that assumption. I just want to make sure that.
If the statement that he made is that the thing that the victim said happened is a departure from reality, who would know that it was a departure from reality other than the only other person involved in this incident?
Or the victim or the other person that investigated, who knows? So who do we know?
Right, and we know what the victim's position is because she
We don't know
has
what
said
happened.
publicly.
Well, you know that
And
part.
there's only one other person.
We don't know what
involved.
happened after. We don't know. We are speculating, right? So you can't know. You know one part. I don't know anything either, but I'm just talking, common sense in a sense, right? I cannot speculate that after that investigation, who knows if the police spoke to the victim and she said that she never said that? Who knows if the victim said something else? So the police found something, I don't know. So we cannot, that's why I would caution you that the captain never said that the police said that. Because we don't know. He never stated that.
Well, you mentioned using logic and reason, and I think that I was doing that in my
And I give you another point of view. I'm just saying.
So can the police department confirm then that it is, that is, whether or not it was actually said, confirm factually that that is incorrect and that yes, the department does in fact investigate?
The captain already gave you a statement.
Madam President, if I could just say, there have been people this year who have been charged in connection with hit-and-runs after investigations by the Brunswick Police Department, so I can say that I believe that the Brunswick Police Department has investigated them.
Okay, I just would like for the record, officially, what is the policy on that?
So thank you. They are investigating. He just said it.
Good evening, Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick today. I apologize, I missed part of the meeting to attend another city government meeting, and so I hope you'll allow for some questions on the resolutions. But first I want to say thank you to everybody who came out and spoke tonight. And, I know it can be very difficult to share, especially if you're sharing personal stories, so I hope that it helped move the council because the thrust of what's being said here is correct, that the city's not doing enough. And there's lots of easy ways to improve what we're doing. Can I ask, and forgive me if I missed the answer, why did the city cut back on the number of beds for Code Blue?
I mean, like I said before, I'm taking notes, and once, this is the first time I hear about that. I'm not asking any questions tonight to the staff. Once I meet with the staff and get the accuracy of that statement, then I will answer that at the next meeting.
Wasn't it said at this microphone? Wasn't it in
The
this
staff,
meeting?
I don't remember the staff saying that, to be honest with you. So, if that was said, I don't recall.
I think you had Mr. DeVoe give an update and said we got 20
Again,
beds this year.
Mr.
Last year it was 30. So.
Mr. Cradaville.
Yes.
Again, I will deal with the staff. I'm not going to ask the staff to give any statement right now. I will meet with the staff, get clarification. If I miss that, I will get clarification, and then I will have a response for the next meeting. So thank you.
Okay. It's obvious we need more beds, we need more warming centers, we need public restrooms. And I think Yoshi made some good points about the disjointed nature of the Code Blue alerts. Sometimes coming out just a few hours before the place opens, there's only a small number of beds, and then folks are kicked out again in the morning. I think we can do better, and I know other counties are doing better, and I advise you to look at what other counties are doing because it's really putting us to shame. The city should be ashamed of how it's handled this program so far. I got to ask about the hit and runs. So, when was the last time the city police solved a hit and run? Ms. Gaskin suggested it was this year. Yeah, when was the last time a hit and run case was closed by arrest or closed by summons?
Captain Moore, do you have that?
Absolutely not something I can answer at the moment. There are dozens of accidents every day in the city.
Okay.
Send me an email, Charlie. Same answer.
Trust me, I've been investigating this after what I heard from the victim, and also what we heard at the last council meeting where there was a hit and run. The county prosecutor's office told me New Brunswick police are in charge. You all told me the county's in charge. You all were wrong. New Brunswick police were in charge, and the reality is you would solve more of the hit and runs if you used the Nixle alert system to alert the public and ask for help solving them. How hard is it to put a notice out there and say, we're looking for this vehicle. Somebody was hit at this corner at this time, and the driver left the scene, and they're roaming our streets, potentially going to hit somebody else. Why not ask for the public's help? That's my question.
I'm not going to, Captain Hoover, can you address the fact that the statement that Mr. Carnival made that we were wrong, that it was the county, and all of this back and forth between the county and the police, whatever was responsible for that?
Sure, I'll try my best to eliminate it, but as you know, the prosecutor's office is the lead law enforcement agency in any county. Okay, so without going into detail, because it is an open investigation, if the county prosecutor's office is taking material measures into investigating this incident, one could make the logical argument that they are the lead agency. Why they said it, Charlie? I can't speak for that. But it's a joint investigation, as Captain Shaw indicated to you in the email. Why they said what they said, I can't answer that.
Just
so they were an active participant in the investigation, as they still are.
Okay. Speaking of road safety, Michael Schultz, firefighter, charged with a DWI for driving his pickup truck into the Rutgers Police parking deck, chasing down an officer who he didn't like their driving. Is he still active? Has he been suspended?
That's a personal matter, Mr. Shammy.
We don't discuss personnel matters in public.
Has the council seen the video of this?
Have you never seen the video?
Well, it's on the New Brunswick Today YouTube channel, just like this meeting will be. Can you tell me why the budget hearings were delayed? Postponed?
Mr. Julius.
I'm sorry to report that I had a death in the family, and I'm the administrative officer for those meetings, and we put in a certain public, so they've been rescheduled.
I appreciate you sending me the email to notify me. May I have another minute to just ask more?
Go ahead, just because
Thank you.
it's Christmas.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I saw it was a kind of crazy thing that's been happening around the state. Drones flying over certain places, and people trying to figure out who's behind it. Did we have drones in New Brunswick, and who's investigating that?
Captain, how are we?
Yes, we have not had any reports of any activity. In fact, just received correspondence from, not correspondence, but I didn't respond to them. But an email from the FBI and the state police making us aware of it, but it specifically said he's not touched on Middlesex County.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Carnival, thank you so much. You got it? Your last question.
Just one more.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. No, that's
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Anybody else? Before we close down, I want to thank everybody who came to speak. I know sometimes it's difficult. I appreciate it. You will listen, and I appreciate you being a voice for those who have no voice. So thank you. We're going to take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Castañeda?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins. Councilmember Sikora is away. Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
And Council President Escobar.
Yes. Thank you.